Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, my little chickadees. It's Adam here. There was a little bit of a note before this episode begins. This episode was us all getting together again, finally, after about 3, if not 4 months of not being able to get shows done due to personal things happening on my end and all these other bits and bobs. And for some reason, the recording has come out really bad. I have cleaned it up as best I can, but it's still not great. I'm not happy with it, but there's nothing more I can do with it without making it worse. This is unfortunately the best I've been able to do. So, apologies for that, and I hope that you find this episode listenable. You guys take care, and enjoy the grand return. You walk once more through tree and bough and drink in the greenery there, to once more see and sow the finery of foliage, stepped out in the finest show for wanderers and walkers both, to see, to speak about the elegance of flora. But in those moments of riposte when feet leave beaten track to walk into the display, there may be no turning back, caught by Fora's Fay. The path there a moment past, lost for all eternity. Take the hand of woodland ghost, and bid your fears away. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. Also, buy my fucking book.
Every man lives, not every man truly dies.
That was very nice, actually. It had a kind of like, it felt like one of the Romantic poets.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I've actually got an enjoyment of the Romantic era when it comes to poetry.
Me too.
It's not all doom, gloom, and death and grim here. Sometimes.
Love the Romantics. Blake is one of my favourite poets ever.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, Blake and Byron, love them. Absolutely love them.
You see, Byron, I think, is the very first opportunity for somebody to say, can we separate the art from the artist?
You kind of have to. You want to enjoy it.
Yeah, because the art is lovely. The man, fucking lunatic.
The man was a lunatic, yeah, absolutely. Interesting, there's no doubt about that. But, yeah.
Don't all artists have the potential to be a little bit like lunatics, though? Isn't that what kind of makes them artists, in a sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The extra factor.
Slightly skewed, yeah, definitely.
I mean, just look at, crikey. Victor Hugo. He wrote Les Mis, he wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He sent a live bat to his wife as a way to ask her for a hand in marriage.
Did she say yes?
I think after the screaming, possibly.
Okay, well, if it worked, I mean, you can't say no to the results, I suppose.
No. Yeah, there's so many things out there in the world when it comes to the various artists of various forms. I mean, what was the? I can't remember the guy's name now. There was a painter who, due to the way he spoke to people, he would say things that other people didn't pick up on because he was not exactly subtle, but just very much removed from reality. And he thought he was in a relationship with another guy who just thought they were friends. And when this guy got married, this guy had the biggest hissy fit in the world. I'm trying to think of his name. The funny thing is, they're all buried together now. The guy, his wife, and the painter. They're all buried in the same place.
How interesting.
Are they buried in a triangle as well? Just to have that lover's triangle go on?
If memory serves me right, because the painter died last. He's on top of them sideways. Can't think his name. It's completely gone.
Oh, weird. Yeah. When I die, bury me horizontally on both of them. Fuck them.
Also, because I keep getting told off for not being very self-advertising.
You should have given me images. I would have put it up on the main screen.
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted your guys' instant reaction where I just went and buy my fucking book. Pig-Iron. It is my book of very short stories, art, and poetry and lyrics for a made-up band.
Show an image from the inside, open it up, let's see the inside.
Oh my God, that's oh God, why do I just keep picking short story pages? There you go. There's
It says root themed.
root themed and a picture from the Bastion idea I had.
Move it to the okay, that's fine.
Okay, hang on.
We got the root themed part.
And there you go. There's the root themed art.
There you go. Yeah, more to the right. More. Keep panning right. There we go. Now we can see the other page. Yeah.
You know what we need to do, Adam? We need to do a like Fluffenhammer episode where we talk about this book.
Oh.
I mean, we could. It would freak me.
The Patreon one. Let's do it.
We should get Mr. White to interview you about the book.
I mean, to be honest, that's the part of publishing I hate as well. The sort of self-promotion. I really don't like it. It's difficult, and it never feels quite right, does it?
No, I always feel like a fraud doing it.
Likewise, hate it. But it's part of the game,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You've got to learn to do it. It's It's a pain in the ass, but it does. I mean, I will say it does lead to opportunities. It does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second of my original collection is going to be coming out end of next month, which is the Hive Desolate skirmish game. So that should be out at the end of July, which I'm
excellent.
Really looking forward to getting that out. And then the third book, which should be out hopefully for Halloween, is a cyberpunk horror using choose your own adventure language.
Fabulous.
When are you gonna release Gruff, a grand sexual adventure, a romp through time and space?
2028, and it's
that's not far off. That's 4 years off.
And what it's going to be is a history of working in mental health, and I'm going to write it under the pseudonym Grant Funding.
Oh, nice.
I love it. Love it.
Sorry. Oh, tickled myself with that one.
Yeah, love it.
So how are you guys doing anyhow? It's been a long time. It's been a dog's age.
It hasn't been that long. I saw you recently. I saw you last week.
Oh, yeah. I saw you in the flesh on last Friday.
Yeah.
Last Friday. Yeah, a week ago.
Yeah, where we discussed our real concerning rabbit hole that just recently opened up when it comes to Lego.
Oh, yeah. Fun times.
So, for those of you out there who are not brickheads, there is a theme that Lego is now putting out of space. So it's under the Lego City line, and it's a subline called Space. And it's the best thing that Lego's done in years. It is really good. To the point where Joseph's really into it, so we've bought a fair bit of that.
Oh no!
And I'm not saying that I really enjoy building it with him, but my God, it's so much good. And Andy bought two different space bases.
Well, no, one's a space base and one's a space vehicle. If you wondered why Gruff's mentioning this stuff in space, that's boring. It's more in line with the Black Tron stuff, the Ice Planet stuff. It's more of a sci-fi space theme, and it's the first time. It's the first time Lego's done a sci-fi space theme that isn't a property in a long time.
Yeah, right.
Well, since Ice Planet.
Yeah, the previous space stuff that they were doing with slightly futuristic moon bases, but kind of still look like the International Space Station kind of boring stuff. This is much more this would fit in with M-Tron and all that stuff and Galaxy Police. No, to be fair, they did do Galaxy Police Mission to Mars. There was a lot of sci-fi after Ice Planet as well, but they haven't done one since. Oh god, it feels like UFO Attack, whatever it was called, was the last one I remember.
Yeah, but that wasn't space as such, because that was always UFOs on Earth.
Yeah.
Right. So all the human stuff was like trucks and buggies and cars and vehicles.
Yeah, I hated the human aspect. The aliens were way cooler. They were just tripods and stuff from War of the Worlds, which was quite fun.
Yep.
Oh, really? That's cool.
That was from a few years ago. That was more than a few years
ago. Yeah.
Oh, God.
10, 12 years ago. The best thing about that was the big UFO mothership that they had. It was built so you could spin the outside.
That's
right. As you spun the outside, it made a noise.
Around.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Made a real cool sci-fi theremin sound. It was really cool.
Really? That's really cool. Like a warbly 1950s kind of.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Future plans will be to buy Barad-dûr, but that's expensive.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you seen the Barad-dûr, George?
I've seen the Barad-dûr. Yeah, it's
really
freaking
good.
ace. It is really lovely, but bloody hell.
Yeah.
That's an investment in money and time and space, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's huge. We got to see it in the Lego store in person as well, and it's very big. It's very neat though.
I'll bet. Is there a Minas Tirith? Can you get Minas Tirith?
Not yet. I wouldn't be so. The two biggest set that they've done so far is that one, which is this year, and Rivendell, which was a few years ago.
Oh, right.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they did a Minas Tirith at some point.
Yeah, very shocked because that is just it's perfect, isn't it, for a Lego set? It's just like, yeah, you can see what it would look like. You can imagine what that would look like in Lego.
The reason they haven't done it is just seemingly because they haven't done anything Lord of the Rings for a long time, and I think they were seeing how well this super big, expensive Rivendell set did, and that's why Barad-dûr came out. They've done a much smaller from many years ago Isengard, which I missed out on. Doing that would be a good idea, just because you could get a Lego Denethor, which they haven't made yet, so there's logic to it.
They've got to have like the normal one and then the flaming one, right?
What are you going to say? Normal one and tomato one.
And tomato one as well, yeah.
I'd like them to do Minas Morgul as well, just so they could do an official full set of the 9, because there haven't been that many the 9 figures you can get. No, they did Weathertop, and it had a few in it, not a lot.
Presumably, you can get the Witch King, yeah.
No, they haven't done the Witch King. No, they did one of these bonus things where if you pre-order or bought Barad-dûr on the first day, you got a small, not super good like extra bonus item, which was a one of the 9 on a what they call the dragon.
Oh, the Fell Beast.
The Fell Beast. Yeah. But it was kind of a small kind of kit, so I'd like them to do a big one, a better one. Yeah. You know. That's the hope.
Big monster, yeah.
Yeah. That's what
what if they did one the size of the Ninjago dragons?
Yeah,
and you have to buy it 9 times in order to get all 9 of them. Would you be?
I'd prefer something more akin of like it's a big set, but it's more you get all of the 9 in one box. You get 3 fell beasts, and then you get like 9 horses for them as well, and then like the scenery to go with them, and just generic dudes to fight, something like that. Because then it's like, okay, you get all of the 9 in this one box, and you're done. That's it. And you get like 3 not massive fell beasts, but 3 decently sized, quite fun, posable kind of fell beasts. I think that would be quite good. Maybe you get some griffins in there as well. I think that'd be a nice way to do things. I don't know if they will, but I'm sure there'll be some more because, Lord of the Rings, it's still thankfully very well loved.
It's very in as well at the moment, isn't it? It seems to be having a bit of a resurgence lately. So
20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, we're past the 20-year anniversary of the last film now, but
past it now, aren't we? Yeah, so it is very, very much a classic film now,
Oh yeah.
It is the greatest of the 4 great trilogy movies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most consistent in terms of quality. It's like across the board.
There's no bad movie in there. A movie you go, that's a shame. They're all really good.
They're all really good. There are 1 or 2 minor little things and even the things I don't necessarily like are not problems. They're
what don't you like out of interest?
It's just the personal things. Like I'm not that hot on the design of Shelob.
Okay.
Just because it's a big spider.
No, I always pictured Shelob as being a bit different to that. It looks too much like a blobby spider to me. Shelob's always been much more spindly than that to me.
Yeah.
That's just a personal thing. That's the way your imagination works.
Is that because that's what you find more scary in terms of a spider, or is that just what the description? It's because I remember in the behind the scenes they were trying to go for the most scary spider that they could, and it's like,
that was the idea, wasn't it? That was because if you read that sequence in the book, it's like Tolkien does horror. It's really good. It's a great sequence. You don't see Shelob in the tunnels like you do in the film. You only see her eyes. That's all you see from Frodo's perspective. So you don't know what it is. When you first read the books, you have no idea what this thing is that's following him through the tunnels. You just get this overwhelming sense of menace and terror. Because she also exudes a kind of supernatural terror as well.
Yeah.
You only see the spider when it emerges, when it comes out of the tunnel above Frodo, and you're like, fucking hell, that's what it is, you know? It's really interesting. It's a great sequence. It's one of the best sequences in the book, actually. It's really tense and frightening and strange.
All right, here's a question for you then. What is the best sequence in the Lord of the Rings movies?
All of
The
them.
movies?
Yeah,
Oh my
out
god.
of all three.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? Where do you go? I mean, there's so many good sequences.
Boromir's death.
Boromir's death is ace.
I think I'd go with Boromir's death because it's still emotional every time I see it.
It is really good. God almighty.
The Aragorn speech in the third film gets me. And it's purely because that's not a rousing speech to say, come on, let's go and kick Sauron shit in. That is, we're probably going to die doing this. And Frodo might actually already be dead. But if we don't try, we will die anyway.
So
there's a real nihilistic bent to that speech that I always enjoy.
The flight across the bridge in Khazad-dûm. I mean, the Balrog, it's spectacular. It's spectacular. That was the moment where I was sat at the cinema thinking they've done it. They've done it. They made the perfect Lord of the Rings film. It's just wonderful. You know, that is what it looked like in my head when I read the book.
Yeah.
You know? I was just like...
So much of it gets bang on how you imagine it.
Yeah. It's
so
nice to believe he'd like the movie, but he probably wouldn't.
He probably wouldn't. I mean, like, he wouldn't have liked the fact that it existed, but I get the impression if he watched it, he would grudgingly say they've done as good a job as they ever could.
I'd hope so, yeah.
He never liked the idea of a film version. In fact, he denied many, while he was alive and while he held the rights to the book, he denied every effort and every petition.
Do you know?
Just as well.
Do you know why he denied the '60s version?
No idea.
Is there too much disco?
No, it was being bankrolled. It was late '60s, and it was being bankrolled by the Beatles because it could be Lord of the Rings with the Beatles involved in it.
Oh God!
Right? He denied it because he lived down the road from one of, I can't remember which one, and the music drove him insane.
That's brilliant.
It is just a weird piece of like universe being in order, you know, absolutely fantastic.
Strange, isn't it? That's
bloody
really
kids and their
strange.
fucking music. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, the Beatles, of all like the types of like popular music, you would have expected it would be like the big rock bands that took Lord of the Rings as inspiration, like Led Zeppelin, right? That would fit better somehow. But even that, it's like, no. Just no. I'm glad it never got made up until the point that it did.
I mean, they were trying to get that thing off the ground since like 1994.
Yeah, they were, and there were other attempts as well before that that just didn't work for.
And of course, the Ralph Bakshi version, which ends in the weirdest place.
Because Bakshi being Bakshi, and like every single project he's ever done ran out of money.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, nobody works with him now. It's one of the reasons nobody ever works with him, because he was a nightmare. He was a genius. There's no doubt, brilliant animator. I mean, some of the stuff in that Bakshi version is fantastic. It really is wonderful.
Yes.
But it ends on the weirdest note after the Battle of Helm's Deep. So you've got Frodo, Sam, and Smeagol just suspended halfway between like Rohan and Mordor, going nowhere. It's really strange. There are even like lines that
ends
to the later books, which don't make any sense. Like at one point, Smeagol, when he's talking to himself, says, "He might help us." Yes, and it's like she is Shelob, but Shelob never occurs in the movie. No. So it's like, what's he talking? You know,
the Bakshi film ends with Gandalf coming down with the riders.
Yeah.
And you get this voiceover that just goes, and so ends the first part of Lord of the Rings. And you just look going, what?
There's no more? What do you mean?
That's it. It just
Well,
stops. And it's
weirdly, there is a follow-up movie.
there is the Rankin Bass one. Yeah,
Yes.
the Rankin Bass one. It's terrible.
It is awful.
It is horrific. And don't get me wrong, I like Rankin Bass. I'm a big fan. I love The Last Unicorn, and The Flight of Dragons is one of my favorite films of all time.
Absolutely.
Just one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
They were not the right studio to do The Lord of the Rings.
The Hobbit. Their version
Or
of The
The
Hobbit.
Hobbit, for that matter. No.
The Rankin
It's the
Bass Hobbit is
American
really...
accent. It's the American accents that just like, it doesn't work, does it? not in Middle Earth. I mean, they even did. Rankin Bass did a lot of interesting stuff around that era. They did a version of The Wind in the Willows, you know.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, which is actually, I mean, that does have American accents in it. It's like, no, you can't do Wind in the Willows with American accents. It's like the most British book ever written.
It's the tweetiest thing ever put to page.
It's actually quite good, you know? Even though it does have like musical numbers, which again is not really Wind in the Willows, it's pretty good. I mean, Badger's song "I Hate Company" is basically my national anthem. It's really good. I mean, he is my spirit animal in that version.
Weirdly enough, Badger from not Worship Down.
Not
Animals
definitely.
of Farthing
That
Wood.
would be very different.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that collision? Wind in the Willows meets Watership Down.
Well, it would be as
Yeah.
bleak, I suppose,
Jesus.
in some ways.
Oh my God!
Wind in the Willows Down, yeah. That's,
Yeah.
Wind in the Willows is lovely. It's sweet, and it's all about friendship and you know, affection. Watership Down is about death.
I was trying to say Animals of Farthing Wood.
I was thinking that would pair up better because they all die in that as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, the Animals of Farthing Wood is basically like, it may as well be set in the same universe, right?
Pretty much.
It is the same story. It's just, you know, it's expanded to include other animals.
Also,
I really
the
love
fact
that
that the
movie recently, you know, Watership Down. And it's one of, there's no such thing as a perfect created thing. But for me, in terms of literature, that's as close as damn it.
okay,
It's beautiful. Watership Down, the book, is absolutely stunning. It is so, so beautiful.
I'm just seeing if I've got it on the shelf here. 'Cause it might be downstairs.
It's
No, there it
worth
is.
looking up. It's the names of things. The names of things in Watership Down are amazing. They're amazing. I don't know how he came up with them. Like the Prince of Rabbits, like the mythical Prince of Rabbits from which all other rabbits are descended, Elachera. Beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful. I can't get over it, you know? Elachera. It's lovely to say. It's lovely to say and to hear, yeah? It's amazing.
I was going to say, talking about books that are close to perfect, have any of you guys ever read that? Talking in Whispers.
No.
Did this from a GCSEs, right? And it's a book that to this day gave me nightmares.
Oh,
Because it's all about a democratic election being derailed by a far-right fascist movement. It was written in the late 80s. And it does not shy from what that is in any way, shape, or form. Even though the main character is a 13-year-old boy, the hell that character goes through. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I've read this about 60, 70 times now. It's because every now and again I just go to myself, that can't be as bad as I remember it. I can't.
and it always is, yeah.
It is. It's like, good Lord, there's sequences in that which are nightmares. But it's one of those books that I always say, well, people should read this because it's incredible.
But they really shouldn't, right? For their own mental health.
Yeah, but also they should because it's incredible.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Like the Wasp Factory.
Like, yeah, now there's one. Fucking Jesus. Wow. You know, think about the stuff I write, and then that upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Wasp Factory upsets me. So
I'm not surprised. It is. Oof.
yeah, it really is.
So, speaking of things that make you cry, how are your wallets doing over the last few months? What have you guys been doing hobby-wise?
Quite a lot actually, because it's been a while since we spoke, isn't it? So
Nearly 3 months, yeah.
a lot of stuff has happened since then. So I mean, Andy's sold me a whole raft of Death Guard, and I've actually added to that with loads of other stuff. So I've been doing Blightlord Terminators, Typhus. I've started putting Morty together. He's
You never found that other
like,
one.
No, it's here. I know it's here. It has to be here somewhere. It is in a box in an alcove somewhere in this place. And when I find it, I'll send it to whichever of you wants it. But I'm putting together one that I ordered recently.
Yeah.
Second Morty 2. And he's
More two?
More
Electric
2, yeah.
Boobaloo.
More Turion. No.
Electric Boobaloo.
Oh, he's gorgeous. I mean, it's a lovely kit, very elaborate. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that can go wrong if you don't follow the instructions correctly.
How many frames did he come on? Do you remember?
A lot. Only in
Like
2.
4?
He's only on 2 frames. Only on 2. But there's loads on them. They are packed.
I was thinking they'd have to be big sprues at the very least, just because like his wings are probably
they take up a big old space.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, they take up a big space.
Yeah.
But he's got multiple builds as well. So he's got like several sets of shoulders and arms and things that do slightly different things. 2 different faces, which is kind of cool. But he's beautiful. When he's done, he's going to look spectacular. He really is. I don't know which of the demon Primarchs I like the best. They're all so good. They're all so good. The loyalists, I know, it's the lion. It's the lion because he's.
Oh yeah.
Because he's not aka.
Because you got the choice of 2. Yeah.
Poor Robert. I like him. Robrite's gotten a lot more interesting in the 41st millennium than he was.
But compared to everybody else, still boring.
True.
I want to know. He did come very close to murdering a boy priest.
Yes, he did. And he's also consorting with demons now. If you read, is it? It's one of the
Dark Imperium. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the Dark Imperium books. I can't remember which one it is, but he is consorting with demons now.
They might be ginger, but we don't need to call them demons, guys. Come on now.
And Eldari, in fact, he's doing everything.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah.
Like everything with Eldari. That's what we're calling it, is it? Yeah.
Well, he's had a long time away. He needs to get back into the field and start dating again.
I don't disagree with him. If he wants to play a little bit of Hide the Emperor with an Eldari woman, that's fine.
And to be fair, they are going to be some of the very few beings that are like age appropriate for him, aren't they? At this point, 'cause he's like over 10,000. So
No, true. Yeah.
He is over 10,000 years old. So
give or take, he was in stasis.
Yeah. It's not like the lion who actually is like knocking 10,000 years.
Have you read the Lion book?
I haven't, but I hear good. I mean, it's Mike Brooks, isn't it?
It is, yeah. On one hand, it's a little bit too much of the Arthurian myth for my liking. It's just one of those things that unless you do something different with it, just regurgitating an actual myth, it's one of the reasons I hate Wolf Time so much, because
it's just
you've just regurgitated huge swathes of the Thor myth. Stop it.
Yeah, it's just the Eddas, isn't it? Just translated into 40k.
drove me insane, that thing. But there's a wonderful bit where he's kicking the living shit out of some, I think, Thousand Suns? No.
Interesting.
Well, the Chaos Marines anyhow. And he's kicking the hell out of them, and he's shouting at them, "What did you do to me? How did you rob me of my strength?" And one of them just goes, "You call this robbed of strength?"
Yeah.
As he just gets his head slapped right off.
Yeah. Why do I look like Jeremy Corbyn now?
What about you, Andy? Have you been up too much?
What's that, George?
Sorry, just the face sculpt. It really does look like Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, yeah.
I would say more like Charles Dance, personally.
Very yes, there is
I
a
think
Charles
it's more
Dance.
appropriate Charles Dance than Jeremy Corbyn, as Jeremy Corbyn's not a warrior.
No, definitely not.
For me, I've been Warhammer Second Editioning. So I've been picking up. I picked up a big old batch of. Well, they weren't specifically Blood Angels, but they had some Blood Angels molds in there, some metal. So I've got Mephiston, a standard bearers, and for some reason, it said it was a Blood Angels, but there was definitely some like Rogue Trader, Deathwing Terminators in there. Do you remember those kind of Terminators where they're really squat? I've got 2 or 3 Deathwing Rogue Terminators in there, which I'm not quite sure what to do with.
Yeah, because they don't fit, do they? Really?
No, not really. I've seen some of them painted up to be Blood Angels, but I know in my head that they're not Blood Angels. So it's like it feels dirty and wrong.
Feels wrong.
Yeah, but I've been going through that. I've still got to finish off the 5 Metal Scouts I've got, which are just the standard Metal Scouts, the ones with the knives rather. I don't have the metal sniper rifle. Was there sniper rifle, bazooka guy, rocket launcher? Was there another one?
Oh,
I think there was another one. I think that there was 2 sniper rifle sculpts, weren't there? There was one kneeling down and aiming, and then one with his gun up in the air, I think.
Yeah,
these are the Metal Scouts. Yeah, the original Metal Scouts.
Yeah. They're a bit of a pain to paint. The ones with the knives. Darren says shotgun. I don't have the shotgun or the bolter dude either.
Yeah, that's right.
I just have the 5 standard ones. They're a bit annoying to paint because they're in this kind of pseudo running pose. So the way that they've got their like ankle bent forward means it's quite fiddly to paint their boot because their boot's relatively low to the base. So you kind of squish in there and try and get it.
What you need then is a bendy brush.
That's a bendy brush.
Bendy brush is something I've got over here in a set where it goes off at maybe just above a right angle. And it means you can get in there and paint. Now, whether it was meant to do that or it's been bent in transport, I don't know. But my God, that thing works a dream.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, that's all the kind of hobby stuff we've been doing. Very, very slowly doing that. I do have an old metal Dante as well, but he's actually being painted, but I kind of want to strip him because he's... I'm painting gold as yellow rather than gold because they didn't have gold paint back then, so I might need to strip him, which is a shame because he's painted reasonably well.
Could you go over the gold with the yellow just to?
Yeah, I think it'd be easier just to strip him, because it's like paint over gold or paint over yellow. I think it's going to be easier to paint over white, to be honest. I've slightly started on Devastators as well. I've got like 6 or 7 Devastators and the little chaplain with the Power Fist guy as well. It's quite nice. Attaching the metal weapons to their bodies is a bit of a faff. Because they kind of lightly shuffle onto the shoulder, but not super well.
No.
Also, why is there a metal bazooka? Is this because it was before the plastic bazooka guy was done? Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
It must have been.
So you had a plastic bazooka in the second-hand 40k box.
That's right. Yeah.
But you couldn't buy that by itself for a long time.
Oh.
Yeah, because in the Space Marine sets, it was always the metal one, wasn't it?
Yep. So you could get the metal Devastator squad.
Yep.
Or you could get a plastic monopose kit. It wasn't until maybe 2 years after 40k second ed launch that you got the plastic guy with the rocket launcher in the plastic box.
It's so weird because those Space Marines of the second edition box set were on individual sprues. They were not on one big sprue, so there's no reason they couldn't have just gone, well, here's a load of these sprues, shove them in a box.
Yeah.
No idea why that's the case.
No. And the funny thing is, like, second ed was big for that, wasn't it? Just having, like, your monopose guys in a box. I mean, that's what most of the armies were back then. Yeah. You know, Elder Guardians, Death Guard, Khorne Berserkers, the lot did that.
You got to remember, they came in round about the halfway mark of second ed's life. It was metal only for the first 2.5 years of second ed's life. You know, it was
incoming from Rogue Trader, of course. It was.
I do have a question for you guys, and I want your opinion on this. I've got like old metal Terminators, not just the Rogue Trader ones, but from what I recall, specifically the one with the Gatling gun who's in a slight running pose, he had a tendency to be a little bit tippy over.
Yeah.
He's been stuck. All of the Terminators have been stuck to bigger bases, which I assume are more rule appropriate for today. They're like that bigger base. I'm wondering, do I take them off the base and use their original bases just because it's more appropriate for the second edition, or do I keep them on the bigger bases?
If you want to play the game, keep them on the bigger bases. If you really want to go for fidelity to second ed, put them on the old little ones.
I would say keep them on the bases they're on, but on the other hand, if you do move them to smaller bases, stick like a 2-piece coin or something.
Well, here's the thing: they're already on the original base. They've just been stuck onto a bigger base on top of it. One of them's got plasticine stuck around it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, that's cool. So, I kind of like that.
That's why I asked, because I could just pop them off the bigger base. They've been super glued down, so I'd need to knife it off, but I could just pop them off it, or I could keep them on the bigger one. That's why I asked, because I'm like, I don't know. Technically, they should be on the smaller base because it's if I'm going to play second edition, which if I'm using this army, I'd have to because everything's on that scale base.
Yeah, of course.
Bloody hell. I mean, I really like the metal sculpts are really good. They're like shockingly good. I think it takes looking at these makes me really appreciate how hard it would have been for sculptors to work on these models. It's so easy now for modelers. It's so easy. I had a discussion with someone who doesn't know anything about like miniatures, and he was like, "Nah, it's way harder to do the 3D modeling because he does 3D modeling." I was like, "You don't understand. You're sculpting at like an inch scale." It's way you can just make the 3D model as big as you like on your screen. It's so much easier.
You can zoom right in when you're on a screen.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, that's why you get some interesting expressions, on some of the old
human
ones.
Human faces have only just started being good, quite frankly.
But yeah, I mean, you say that. I think Mephiston's face sculpt is pretty decent. Right, it's pretty good.
For back then, they ain't bad.
No. I think the ones that look stranger are the ones that have their mouths sculpted open. I think that's where it gets a little bit weirder. Yeah. Like a lot of Slimarbo is a good example of, he's an interesting lad. He might be a mutant. I don't know.
Darren on the Twitch chat says, alternatively, speak to me, your friendly 3D printer person who can make 3D printed base rings that can be popped off on as needed.
I tell you a thing I'm really wanting. I'm wanting a metal second edition dreadnought. That's something I'd really like to get. Oh my
god!
Mainly because I want to beat children to death with it. If it rolls poorly,
you want to chuck it at people and actually.
That's what you get for showing off, Gruff. That's what you get. Is that metal though? Is that was the 3D printed one, right?
You don't want second ed dreadnoughts. You can get road trigger dreadnoughts.
You'll need to turn your camera back around.
The one that looks like a cat.
No, I like the one that's just a square. To me, the square is where it's at. That's why I don't like the Primaris ones. They're not squares. I do like that one. I mean, that's the Chaos one.
That's the Chaos one. That's the old Chaos one.
I do want the Mr. Tickles Chaos Dreadnought as well. Who's that? Is that Yarrick?
That's a Yarrick.
Is that the second one, Andy?
Mm-hmm. The Mr. Tickle one. Yeah, where you could give him the hand, or you could give him the claw, or in third edition, you had to order the hammer. You remember that? That's why you'll never find those ones on eBay, because I don't think many people ordered the Thunder Hammer, or what was it? The 2 heavy bolters. I think that was the other piece.
That's right. They had loads of weapon options like the Chaos Space Marine Dreadnoughts from back then. The big claw was called a Power Scourge. Then they had a Power Claw, which is like a crab claw.
That's right.
They had the hammer, which you had to order. Yeah. And then you could put like two heavy bolters and like a laser cannon or auto cannon on the other arm if you wanted a long range one. You didn't want to do that in second ed because it would go mad and shoot your own.
Yes. Yeah, having frenzy and stupidity is dangerous for a thing that was that powerful.
It's not the best. So,
to be fair, I think from looking at some of the rules, it was way easier to figure out how a dreadnought worked than the bikes. The bikes had way too many rules. They had 1,000 rules for one fucking bike.
Yeah.
It's
and for flamer
insane.
units,
Oh my god.
stuff that flamer units did in Second Ed, where things would stay on fire.
Yeah.
But only some things. So that you could do stuff to put it out. You could like sacrifice a unit at like a turn of moving to roll and put it out, or
To stop, drop, and roll.
A unit could just be on fire and not die. I watched a mini ed episode where it was a campaign. He set an orc on fire and it was still alive for 3 turns, but didn't do anything and eventually died.
Yeah. And certain creatures could still do everything they normally could while they were on fire, like demons could, for example.
That makes sense. They wouldn't care.
Everything they normally, Tyranids could think as well, if I remember correctly.
Makes sense.
Because they're driven by the hive mind and all that kind of thing. There's so many rules. That's the big problem with Second Ed, and they are everywhere. There's no standardization in the codices or anything.
No, from what I've heard, it sounds like the best Second Ed is you read everything and then you go, let's homebrew it and make it easier to play.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. That's how we played Second Ed back in the day.
God, yeah. Absolutely. There were just certain rules you had to ignore. There were some rules you had to ignore. I mean, some stuff was just stupid. Vortex grenades. Fucking ridiculous.
They could be a boon or an absolute menace to you or the enemy. Who knows?
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Complete disaster. Usually, when those things went off and you had to put the counter down from Dark Millennium, ridiculous. Everything in the vicinity would die.
Thinking about it, I think the bike rules could work if, and only if, you're playing nothing but bikes. Each side is playing, it's like a bike fight. And then the more complex the rules, the better, because it makes it a bit more interesting to have just 9 bikes against 9 other bikes, and it's a bit more interesting. But then, like you say, on top of everything else, it's too much. Yeah. That's the way you just kind of boil the rules down to more basic stuff, so it works.
I do think that 9 bikes for 9 other bikes is my favorite musical.
9 bikes, 9-inch nails, but bikes.
Oh my god, the shock attack gun.
From Rogue Trader. Oh yes.
Whole, series of pages dedicated to what it could do.
Roll that dice. What's going to happen to that Gretchen? Who knows?
Absolutely crazy stuff.
I've been doing little mini episodes with Big Swinging D, just about 15 minutes long or so. And one of the things we're doing is just picking up an article of White Dwarf, where we just talk about that article and what came out that month. The next one we're going to be doing is going to be the shock attack gun from Rogue Trader.
Brilliant.
What edition is that?
That's Rogue Trader.
No. Issue of White Dwarf.
Oh, I've got it written down somewhere. It's like 121, something like that.
I was going to ask if it was before 100 or like slightly after. It seems like it's not too much long after.
No, it's like
early, man.
Somewhere around about 121.
Oof.
Yeah.
It was bad enough in Second Ed. In Rogue Trader, it's absurd.
It's wonderful. Wonderful.
It is fun. It is fun, but it's like, oh my god, how do you? I mean, Second Ed is one thing, but at least Second Ed was refined a little bit. Rogue Trader, I sincerely don't know how you play it.
I
don't think people do. No.
No, it's barely a game. But there's a reason why there's a games master.
Yeah. Definitely. Especially if you're using any of the army books that existed back then. I mean, like the Realms of Chaos books. I mean, there's so many rules and random rules at that, die 1,000 tables for this and that.
Definitely feels like they took a lot of inspiration from D&D, right? And just let's just do that and turn it into tabletop, and then went for Second Ed. Let's try and make it a little bit less complex. Then third edition, less complex again.
Yeah, definitely.
Refinement.
Yeah, Third Ed was the big revolution, the move away from like role playing into like proper wargaming. Yeah. It really was.
I wonder if people would say that was a bad thing, because that means there was less story in some ways.
I mean, the thing is, the story is more in the hobbying side of things. It depends on what you want to play, to be honest. I mean, I certainly found that after that transition, we got more games in. We played more. Second Ed was such a bloody time sink that you had to sort of think about it for a week. before you, and you had to like set aside the time as well. Like a game of Second Ed would last a couple of days. It would necessarily last a couple of days, which was a pain.
Which is why we never went over 1,000 points per Second Ed.
Yeah. Can you imagine doing an Armageddon game
Oh,
for Second Ed?
I see.
No, I can't.
That's a good weekend or a week of like gameplay.
That's
Maybe a month.
Like, sacrifice a month of your life.
Yeah.
No, that is, you go down to like a Haven holiday park or something with a group of friends, get a big house like to live in for a week, and then just move everything out of the kitchen other than the table in order to play a Second Ed Armageddon game. There's no other way of doing it.
It is the war game equivalent of going to, like, you know, your special friends that always has the special sweeties and having like that week bender and then emerging stumbling into the daylight afterwards. That's what that is.
Why do I feel, and I don't know where this name has come from, that special friend would be called the Mad Twatter?
I don't know where you're from. He's called Gerard to me, but you know.
That's because I'm further north than either of these.
Yeah, that
names
wasn't
up here.
out to like mutual friend Wolfgang One Gerard, by the way.
You're not that much further north than me. You're more like west than me.
Yeah,
We're probably around the same
same northern perimeter. Yeah.
West Midlands here, just
Bloody
middle
southerner.
of the wastelands. Yeah, the middle of
Yeah,
the
look at you southern bastard.
Yeah.
southern.
Oh, to me, everyone's southern. So,
Apart from the Scottish, and then they can call us southern bastards, and you go, fuck, we got to give it up. We can't say
but
it.
the Scottish are hardy bastards, so I'm not going to say anything about them. You know,
True that. That's why we build a wall.
They'll come round and deep fry my Mars bars. Oh no, my Mars bars I can't eat.
The motherfucking barbarians coming down to Gruff's house to steal his barbarian, to his Mars bars.
To steal my barbarian. Just
might be.
breaking in, stealing my barbarian out of my Hero Quest copy.
Yeah, I was talking, and in my mind, I was imagining you crying on the ground as they're just deep frying a Mars bar. You're like, no, my Mars bars. No.
As for myself, the only thing I've really been working on has been a Gene Stealer cult army with a twist.
Is it done?
Yes.
How far through are you?
Well, I mean, I've got my Titan done, so he needs painted now. He's all built, and I've got a unit of neophytes, a unit of acolytes, a biophagist, a patriarch, and a Magnus.
That's a pretty decent.
Magus.
That's a decent amount.
And I've got a tank as well.
When are you going to 3D print the fat one?
I don't need to.
No, liar. You need the fat one on his throne.
Yeah, true. Actually, very true.
It certainly made him much sleeker in his more recent incarnations.
Yes.
You know.
What's cool is I took the Broodlord and took the legs of the Broodlord and put that on the current Patriarch.
Uh-huh.
So what you now have is just a massive beast.
Yeah.
Because the current Patriarch is really top heavy, but the legs are quite tucked in. Yeah. But
he's crouched, isn't he, on that piece of terrain, isn't he, like hunched over?
Well, put it this way, he's not on a piece of terrain, and he's taller than the Patriarch crouched on the...
Oh, very cool.
So he's massive, which is like, yep, that's what I wanted. So I'm quite happy with that. I got
an email earlier, my Gene Stealer Cult Codex is on the way. Can't wait. It looks great. I mean, alongside the Sisters of Battle Codex as well, so... I've got them all. I've got every single fucking one from 10th Ed. I'm doing well at the moment.
We need to sit down and actually work out going through those.
We do, because we did the
Patreon.
Marines, we did the Tyranids. We need to do like all the others, basically. The Orcs, the Adeptus Mechanicus, Chaos Space Marines.
Actually, I will see if I can hold this down.
The Orcs are still the strongest codex, by the way, thus far.
Wow.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, the Orcs are really bloody good in 10th.
So, what I had was just some leftover parts. So I built a tank out of the bits.
Oh, wow. Hello.
So that is my Gene Stealer Cult tank.
Oh, that's brilliant.
My favourite thing is just a little guy hanging out the window The window is just a bit of sprue.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll do.
That's very cool.
So I'm quite pleased with the way that that's come out.
And you can sort of do it now as well, can't you? Like the Codex has got a detachment that lets you take Imperial Guard units, which is fabulous, right?
Well, what I'm going to do, because I was thinking about taking the breaches, the Navy breaches, and using them as the Imperial Guardsmen.
Yeah,
But then what I thought would work really well is just getting the House Cordor stuff from Necromunda.
Perfect. I mean, just absolutely perfect, yeah.
Should be
They just
easy
might
to
have-
get as well.
Yes, very
Are you
much
going to
so.
get some RBTs and Gene Stealer cult them up?
You
That could be
can't.
quite fun. You
As
can't.
far as I know, you can't run RBTs in Gene Stealer
Oh,
cults.
yeah, I mean, I just mean get the models and then just have them just for like because they look cool as like police officers who've been corrupted and just play them as like I don't know the standard units or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, that could work. That could really work.
It's a nice idea, that is actually. It's a really nice idea.
Let's see if I can get the big guy down.
I think the
even
problem with the
enjoying
RBT's idea is just because they're not the easiest to get. I would imagine.
Yeah. It's odd, they never have been. They've always been like a really limited release, the Arbites.
Yeah, well, the kill team's not the easiest one to find. There he is.
Hello. God, he's big, isn't he?
That's what she
Oh,
said.
yeah.
Ooh.
He is a big one, isn't he? I love the
do-
drill. That's ace. That's very Gene Stealer cult, that is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
So
my
that's
God.
just...
That is
Lego
way
bits.
bigger than I thought it was. I haven't
Me
seen the
too,
knight
I
in
did-
person.
I don't know why I didn't realise it was that big.
No.
Now, these things are huge.
Are you going to glue the arms? Because it looks like you've just kind of left them there to kind of fiddle around with.
Yeah, I haven't got them into a pose that I quite like yet.
It's
Yeah, having
very
the...
cool.
'cause what I was thinking of doing was having them sort of like that, so that I'd rather kind of find a way of making it look like he's about to drill somebody and then shoot them in the face.
I imagine, I
yeah.
imagine it's quite hard to pose something that just has two arms at that kind of angle and make it look like it's in motion.
Yeah,
God, I'm
I
gonna have to
can-
put mine together now. I've got a big box set of Chaos Knights that I just haven't bothered to put together from Ninth Ed.
Damn.
Got to put them together now. That
He was a lot of fun to do. Like,
yeah.
ooh, so much fun to put together.
Have you parts
Brilliant
built him, or are you just going to paint him as is in one big thing?
No, he comes apart. So top section's not attached,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then
that's going to make it easier.
and the shell still pops off. That hasn't been.
Same for
Done.
the shoulder
Oh.
pads as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can take.
That's
them
going to make
apart.
it a lot easier.
Yeah. There we go. Put them over them. Right. Shall we get on to some news?
Sure.
Yeah, why not? Let's have a look.
Right. So, the first story that we're going to run today is there are some more Tomy plushies coming. If anything was going to get me to buy some plushies, it's a freaking plushy Servo Skull.
And a Watcher in the Dark.
Yeah.
That's freaking ace.
Well, the
Oh
Watcher in
my
the
god,
Dark-
there's loads.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the Servo Skull before.
The Servo Skull's
That's
great. The purple sun's great.
I don't know why they did the
fact that-
purple sun. The purple sun seems like a strange one to do to me.
It's the endless spell that people use the most.
Oh right,
It doesn't feel like that quintessential like thing.
like plushy thick.
Yeah, like a servo skull, that makes sense because everybody has loads of people have servo skulls. Same for the Watcher in the Dark, he's a small little boy. It's a shame that you didn't get maybe a fun one, but it would be way more niche. So maybe you release it as a con exclusive. Man with cloth.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Man with cloth would be quite fun.
Polishing Helbrecht's
Yeah.
sword. Yeah,
That's way more
brilliant.
specific. That's why you make a con exclusive, some kind of event exclusive.
I want the Nurgling. I
The
definitely want
Nurgling,
the
Sassy Nurgling was a good choice.
Yeah.
He's a bit
brilliant
flat though.
choice.
His profile's really flat.
He is, isn't he? He needs a bit more like a bulbous belly than that.
Wait,
Nurgling's supposed
his
to be like-
face. It's like someone sat on his face.
yeah, that is odd, isn't it? He needs a bit more, a bit more stuffing there or something.
Yeah,
I do love the Ripper. The Ripper is just glorious.
Yeah, that's very
that
nice.
works as well. Yeah, the Ripper was a good choice for the Tyranids.
They could
Have
do.
you
in fact,
noticed the cute little lion cub face on the Watcher in the Dark?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
His robe looks more like a bathrobe, though, rather than a robe. He's just got out of the shower.
I like the fact they bothered giving him the lion helm as well. That's hilarious. Very cute. Very, very cute.
Yeah,
So who would you guys want for another plushie? Give an idea for another plushie.
Oh, no,
on,
a
George.
Gretchen, a Snotling, or something like that would be good.
Yeah. Gruff?
Sort of Snotling. Makari.
Macari, yeah.
Be brilliant.
Grimgor Ironhide.
The full thing, just a whole Grimgor.
Full thing in scale. Yeah, just like you can lie on it to go to sleep.
I would like Fabius Bile's little acolyte, his little helper that he comes with now. I think that'd be cute.
What am I saying? Nobbler. Has to be Nobbler from Nobbler and Skarsnik. Gotrek.
Gotrek, yeah, that'd be kind of obvious to do.
I think Griff would
cute
like a
little
Snorri.
Gotrek.
A huggable Snorri. You can hug him and say, it's all right, Snorri, I'm here for you, bro.
Surely the White Dwarf is an obvious one to do.
That makes sense, yeah. Ron Brindle, that would make sense.
Alright, the White Dwarf and the Black Gobbo, yeah.
Yeah, that's an obvious
Well,
set to do.
the Black Gobbo's been done, hasn't he? Or was it the red? No, the Red Gobbo's.
Red Gobbo's
been
been, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trying to think, well, obviously not a demonette, because...
No, that has entire. You want a body cushion for that?
Yeah, body
don't
pillow.
you?
That would make sense. Yeah.
Dakimura or whatever.
Games Workshop's the first ever body pillow of a demonette of Slanesh.
Well, to be fair, to focus on the other demographic, you could easily do the Primarchs. Primarch on one side in armor, and then Primarch on the other side without their armor on. Be especially good for the lion who's just like not happy. Don't like this.
Fulgrim would work. The others not so much.
Mortarion without his arm is just put it back on.
You really don't want that. You don't want to see that. You really, really don't want to see that.
Wasn't it you, George, to put up the model of Be'lakor kind of in sexy lying down pose?
No, that was me.
That was you.
That was you, I
So
think, yeah.
the Be'lakor could work, I suppose, because someone was clearly into Be'lakor enough to put him in a sexy pose.
Yeah.
I did not know that sexy daddy Be'lakor was something I needed to see, but my God, I was happy to see it.
I thought it was concerning that someone would sexualize Be'lakor because of just like who he is, but it's like, oh, well, I guess.
Yeah. There are even characters I would understand, like maybe Fulgrim, obviously.
Mutarian.
No, not Mutarian. Definitely not Mutarian.
Well, if you're into STDs, I suppose it might be right up your alley, but I think that's a very niche kind of fetish.
That's very niche. Yeah, that's very niche. Zigfold, I can kind of get,
He's Fulgrim, but Warhammer, makes sense.
Warhammer, basically.
I don't know. I can see it. I can see why somebody would say Muscle Daddy Be'lakor is something that they wanted to see.
I can almost understand that. I can almost get the body at least.
Yeah, just Muscle Daddy Be'lakor.
Well, what about Gazgul Thraka? I'll give you a right good thumping.
Again, it depends. He's got very big dom energy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Unless it's Yarrick. Then Yarrick is the dom. Not obviously.
I'll get beat by Yarrick every time.
Have you seen the little comic of the Imperial guy, going up to Thraka's army with a little missive that goes, yes, it is true, old Baali has died, and the one that killed him was no more than a Baden of the 13th Crusade. Then just cuts to a Baden drinking his tea and just hearing "wag" and just looking around as orcs are breaking through the wall.
Oh my God. No, I want it canon. I want them to be a couple. Thraka and Yarrick. There's got to be an unrequited love going on there.
I just want Thraka to have rules where Yarrick just keeps turning up. Yeah, he's dead, but he just keeps turning up just
like
to fight.
a warp rips open and he just walks out the warp.
Yeah,
But it's just
the
like
orcs believe in him so much, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like a manifestation station, yeah.
Yeah,
He just keeps turning up, and Thraka has to fight him throughout the battle. He can't fight
wasn't
anymore.
there a weird rumor floating around not too long ago that Yarrick is coming back or something?
Yeah, so the way I understand it is that there is going to be some form of Yarrick at some point.
Would it be
So-
cool to make him like a commander of the Legion of the Damned?
Oh
Would
wow!
you be okay with
I mean,
that?
yes. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Because when
I
was
think,
the last time we got anything Legion of the Damned?
God, they've been
yes.
gone for ages.
Yeah.
They used to be like an official part of the Space Marine Codex. There was always a bit that dealt with the Legion of the Damned, but they haven't been part of it for since 7th Ed, I think.
Wow.
If not before, yeah.
Long while ago.
Nothing in the last decade, anyhow.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Shame. Big shame. Cool. Should we move on?
Sure.
Yeah.
I realise that one of these news stories has been repeated. I do apologise.
Yeah,
So we've got two stories for
didn't click on that. I
Necromunda.
just clicked on the ones. It's fine.
Yeah. So the Malstrain Gene Stealers are coming, and what we'll do is we'll do this in the opposite order. So, Hive Secundus is on its way, which is a new Necromunda pack that is the Spires versus the Gene Stealer cult that have been underneath a radiated, rubbled spire.
I love this. I just love this. It's got such feeling about it, such an ethos about it.
Yeah, everything in this box is very much up my alley. The Gene Stealers are terrifying.
I mean, they are scary, aren't they? They are actually scary. They're sort of like degenerate Gene Stealers. Where
Yeah, the weaker ones, aren't they, technically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Technically, I mean,
It's a really good way of getting Gene Stealers into Necromunda, because a normal Gene Stealer in Necromunda would be murderous.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you could win, probably. It'd just be everyone dies. I guess you could
Yeah,
have one
pretty
as like a boss, like a raid fight kind of idea, but that would be about it. So you need these shitty kind of genetically knackered ones before they get to the perfect one before you can do that, I guess.
Yeah.
but they look scary as hell, don't they? They're actually scary miniatures, which is fantastic.
And then, of course, you get the hybrids as well, which themselves, they are real fecked up.
Oh, they
These
are
guys remind me, for some reason, of the cult in the second Planet of the Apes film that worshipped the nuclear bomb. And I can't...
Oh, you mean
can't
the
quite-
original Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes?
yeah,
not
yeah.
The, okay,
Yeah.
I was going to say.
not the new ones.
No.
Oh, cool.
Not the really good new ones. The... Koba. The original 70s ones.
Yeah, okay.
They're just, oh God, they're just so upsetting. It's just so sadly unsettling. And they're going up against the Spires. So the Spires are back.
Yeah, but a bit of a surprise, and they're great. Really,
they're-
really love them.
I like them, but I feel there's something missing about them, and I don't quite know what it is.
I'll put your finger on it.
No.
Is it
no,
the design of the suits?
Necromunda's a really weird one for me, I think, where in order to have a different design aesthetic, some elements of Necromunda look so far removed from what we think of as 40k, and it feels a bit weird.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like a human design to the battle suits, I suppose, does it? It's too
No.
swoopy, too many curves. A lot of the human
Yeah.
technology are hard edges, I find.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
It maybe looks a little too advanced for the Imperium.
It could be that. It could be that. 'Cause, I mean, if you think back to the original Spire minis from years and years and years ago, they didn't really look like this. This is a very, very different design aesthetic that they've gone for.
and it just
it's
kind
not
of sets
bad.
them outside of the Necromunda vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they almost look like chunkier Infinity models. Yeah, if anyone plays Infinity, or has ever
a
seen the
Marvel
game
game?
Infinity. No, it's I can't think who makes it now, but yeah, it's another tabletop game, but it's got a real super duper sci-fi look to it at times. Slightly anime, but not quite.
Mhm.
And that's what this kind of makes me think of in some weird roundabout way. I mean, as I say, they're not bad at all. They're beautiful sculpts, but they just don't look very 40k to me. If that makes sense to anyone.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, I like them a lot. I think they look great, and I can see someone like converting obliterators from them, or something to that effect. And certainly, like Necron players converting the hell out of them to make something or other.
I do like the little demon dude that's on
Yeah,
he's cool.
he's
very
cool. That.
Really like him. Yeah, I don't know what it is. They look weird to me. They don't look like something the Imperium would build. They look like archaeotech archaeologists found them and dug them up and just decided to rebuild them. Which
maybe that is the case.
Yeah,
maybe they are archaeotech.
It could well be. Could well be. Yeah, there's a. I think because they've got these curves, there is like an element of chaos to them as well.
Yeah, you could make chaos miniatures out of these very easily because they already look kind of chaotic anyway.
Yeah.
They'd make great sort of dark mechanicum. Pieces, like Skitari of the Dark Mechanicum or something like that.
Although looking at them now, I really want to put Ambot heads on them just to see what they look like. And then you get the tech hunters. And then you get the tech hunters as well, who really push the what I was saying before about Corvus Bell. Thank you, Darren. They look very much like Infinity miniatures. Once again, they're not bad in any way, shape, or form, but they just don't look right. It's personal choice, completely personal choice, and personal opinion and things. But out of the two of them, I very much prefer the Gene Stealer stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely prefer the Gene Stealer just because of the horror element, which is they do look wrong, don't they? They look diseased in a very fundamental way, which I really, really like.
Isn't it weird when you think back, like maybe about 18 months ago, we were very much convinced that Necromunda was coming to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd been so long, and it's like, well, he's the new edition. Shut up, Fluffenhammer, you idiots.
Yeah. All right. And I love the floaty things. They're really, really
Everybody thought they were enslavers. I remember when they were popping up.
They look just like them. I mean, that is exactly, like, if you were going to make an enslaver model, that'd be it. That'd be it. It looks just like how they're described and how they're drawn in the artwork as well. But I like them. I think they're really cool. Very, again, quite frightening, quite scary.
I want to know what they are. Because we don't really know what they are yet, do we?
Really know.
It's like, what weird gribbly gobs are they?
They're a jam dispenser. They flow by and you grab them and you squeeze them and jam comes out.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely Gene Jam.
Yeah.
Oh, Jam Stealers. Yeah. There's an army I want.
They steal my jam. I hate that. Kill them.
Nah, they just come over here and steal me jam.
Bloody Gene Stealers.
I want to see if anybody's going to translate this into 40k for a Gene Stealer army.
Oh, that'd be expensive.
It would be expensive, but you're going to see them turning up. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheaper to do as Gene Stealer cults because you have normal dudes and then you could just have the Gene Stealer things as like a small force rather than an entire army. Yeah. It'd be hard.
I'm intrigued to see.
Well, the hybrids, they're very cool.
Yeah, aye.
Lots of personality to them.
Just innocent men. Horribly mutated, genocidal innocent men.
I do like the fact that so many of them have got these little pig noses.
Yeah. Are you a mutant? No. I'm a normal human. Don't worry about it.
Normal human.
I'm Human Joe. My name is Human Joe. I am human. I drink my human tea and eat my human food.
Hello,
my name is Humanity.
Sorry. I have ticks.
They have great big ticks they float behind us.
Yeah, exactly.
But part of this new Necromunda thing is the Malstrain Coalescence, a fleshy chimera of man and Gene Stealer.
What the hell? What is going on? It's brilliant.
George, when you saw this, did you think this looked like the wall creatures from Dead Space?
Oh god, yeah, it's got such a Dead Space vibe about it, doesn't it? It definitely looks like a necromorph.
Yeah.
I was also thinking like Cronenberg, body horror, society. It's just
I could see it being from Beyond. You know, when he grows into the big creature blob thing.
Yeah,
that works.
it's really proper body horror stuff. This, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of the more disturbing miniatures GW have released of late.
I think it probably sits as being the most disturbing miniature they've done. Full stop.
Yeah,
I'm struggling to think of anything that comes close to it.
Yeah, it's like they've really just gone full bore into like what is the most horrific like body horror thing we can sculpt and get away with? Let's just do it. Let's go for it.
I mean, honestly, that guy reads such a cane. There's no other way to describe him.
Yeah, there's a definite in the mouth of madness John Carpenter thing going on here. It's gross. It's brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I can see it being used for lots of different things.
Chaos Spawn.
Yeah, I mean, Chaos Spawn, it's ready-made. You don't need to do anything to it. You can literally just put that on the table as a Chaos Spawn, and it would be fine.
So apparently there's more Malstrain Terrors coming.
Oh, brilliant.
That's good.
So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to look like.
Is the assumption going to be that all the Malstrains are going to be in one box, or are they going to be individually sold as like character pieces?
Ooh, no idea. No idea. I mean, my guess would be they'll be sold separately because that's really tall.
You don't think it'll be like 3 sprues, like a box of Crypt Horrors where you get like, or like Cavalry where you get 3 and it's like 1 per little sprue? Because I can see that potentially. It depends how big they are, I guess, because I'm sure they're like looking at this like 4, 5, 6 pieces and big ones, depending how you've cut it up 3D wise, probably 3, 4, 5 pieces. No, it have to be more 5.
For looking at it, I would say that's between twice to 2.5 times the size of a normal Necromunda mini.
It's unusual for that, isn't it? You don't normally get like these big minis in Necromunda. It is rather unusual. I like it though.
It seems to be something that they're doing more of. Oh, just looking at his hand, like
I love it.
The tentacle coming through his hand.
Yeah, it's utterly brilliant. You can that's what makes it so brilliant. You can see where the human started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's wearing the hand as a little like wristband.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I do love the fact that looking at the top, you can see the tyrannid that this has all come from.
Yeah, love it. It's very Geigerish in that regard.
Oh God, he's a beauty. He's an absolute beauty.
Brilliant miniature, and I want it just to have, just to have it.
Shall we get into some 40k?
Yeah. What are we doing?
More Tyranids.
More Tyranids.
So the Gene Stealers get a big, brained new Benefactus.
Brain dude.
Yes.
The smart guy. The nerd.
Is it just me, or does this guy look like he came out of an 80s cartoon?
He kind of does have that vibe. He really does, like the villain from an 80s cartoon, yeah?
Or like the leader from the 90s Hulk cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I've taken out his camera again.
Well, that'll teach me to use a hand-sculpted rogue idol of Gork to keep my camera propped up.
Is your Gork still alive, or did he explode?
No, he's fine. He's a solid piece of rock. So some Gene Stealer cult news because the Gene Stealer cults are coming next week. I think
they are. They've just. I think it's released tomorrow, isn't it?
Could well be tomorrow. Yes, actually.
Is it? Yeah, because it was pre-ordered last week. So.
Yeah, tomorrow. Oh, good lord. Yeah, he's an interesting fella.
I like him.
I've swung back and forth.
For everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. I like the weirdness of it.
Yes.
I wonder what the role is for this unit on the table, because he might not visually be for everybody, but depending on what the role is, it might be an essential pick.
It might be essential.
Yeah,
It
who
might
knows?
be really, really good because nobody really knows what he does yet. So I'm assuming some like psycherish.
Has to be like a librarian-ish character,
yeah.
right? Has to be.
Yeah.
Surely,
Yeah.
it's got something like that. Maybe it forms like a linchpin for the GS cult, so they don't, so they don't run away, or they have higher, they don't battle shock, or they automatically pass battle shock, or something like that.
That could work. That could work.
That makes
What
sense.
I understand is a mixture of like an old synapse creature for your Gene Stealer cults and a sniper, a psychic sniper.
Oh, that makes a
sense.
lot of sense. So he'll have like a psychic weapon that has precision, basically, like Iron Man does. Interesting. I like that.
Or it'll just be a Psy Bolt or something.
Wow.
Bloody hell! What the?
Well, somebody said Psy Bolt, and then Adam's camera fell on the ground.
and then, that's suspicious, isn't it? Right?
If you guys could stop doing that, that'd be lovely.
Never.
It's too amusing. When it stops being entertaining, then we'll stop doing it.
We need to have like a donation thing where people donate a small amount of money and it just drops his camera every time.
It's like the dunking thing, chucking balls.
Yeah, exactly. $1 and Gruff has to pick his camera back up again.
That's going to be this week's technical problem, I think.
Oh.
My camera just refuses point blank to stay still.
It's interesting. The GS Cults had a new codex art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting because I think they're the first in 10th ed to have new codex art.
I don't love it art-wise. I don't think it's crazy good. I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. I mean, it's sort of emblematic of what they are. You get the.
I would slightly disagree because it's only like a few. I think if you want to show like a good representation of them, should be loads of them.
You want more of the hybrids.
Yeah, or like them crawling out of pipes or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
Something a bit more theatrical. And then have like, I don't know, the brain dude on the front or the lady Magos pointing.
Yeah. I wonder why they decided to give the GS Cults new artwork and not like practically everyone else.
I guess they're getting a bit more love, I suppose. I wonder what the judgment is for like giving them new art. Does this look more like in keeping with the other front covers, do you think?
You know what it might be? It might be because it might be to do with age. So a lot of the codices, like the Chaos Space Marines one, I understand them not doing new artwork for that because that only came out towards the end of 9th ed, and that was new artwork then, so it kind of makes sense. Maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know. Maybe. But it just seems odd, It just seems an odd decision.
It does. Really does.
Either way, apparently they're very good. Apparently people have already got their preview books, and apparently they're very, very.
What do you think about their Battle Force and what do you call it? Start collecting Combat Patrol boxes because the Combat Patrol is just objectively not as good as the previous Combat Patrol. And
That's true.
the Battle Force seems to be the Combat Patrol, but with an extra vehicle and a new minion. That's it. And it kind of feels a little bit. Ugh.
The Biosonic Brood Surge is the better of the two by a long shot. Just for what you get,
But I don't think it's as good as the previous Combat Patrol.
No. The actual, the Combat Patrol for Gene Stealer Cult is shit.
It used to be the best Combat Patrol. The previous one was like stupidly good. Yeah. That's probably another reason why they changed it, because it was such a good deal. I think I think people worked out that it was the best value for money out of all the Combat Patrols just because of how much stuff you got in it. And I was like,
Yes. The main reason I hate this new Combat Patrol is I hate those bikes.
I don't think a Combat Patrol should be this many vehicles. I think I don't know. Shouldn't a Combat Patrol have like mainline like troops, like standard troops? Like for the Imperial Guard, you have just like Imperial Guard. For Space Marines, you have like your tactical squads. None of these are like your standard infantry, are they?
No, that's true.
No.
I mean, it's interesting because it does move. It is sort of in keeping with the ethos of 10th Ed, which is like moving away from that very standard format for the armies. But you are right. If you were going for like a solid main force, or the basis for a new army, you'd want a couple of troops, solid troops to go start with, and a commander. Yeah, it's an odd one. It's strange. I mean, because of the way Combat Patrol works now, it may be really good. It may be really effective.
You mean for the specific game mode that's called Combat Patrol?
Yes,
I mean,
that's right. Because it depends on the rules. It depends on what the rules are in the codex. But even as the basis of a force for 40k, it's odd.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, a Combat Patrol should be something to give you a really basic ground force introduction, and then like a secondary objective should be something that a regular customer will buy like 5 copies of potentially.
Yeah,
I've just
and
realized
you don't get 5 copies of this. I don't think.
Just realized you get 2 units of hybrids.
Yep. Yep. 2 units of hybrids, 1 buggy, 1 4x4, and 1 set of bikes.
One Ridge Runner, 4 shitty bikes, and then the cool quad.
Shitty bikes.
Not to have like a neophyte squad is odd.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
That's slightly strange, because they are the linchpins. They're essentially your Astra Militaria troopers of the Gene Stealer cult. So.
It's weird. If you already have a decent like Gene Stealer cult army, I think this would probably be okay because this seems like a nice way to add in some specialized units and some vehicles quite nicely. So you buy 2 of these and then you don't ever need to buy any more of them because you'll have.
I think that's it. To be honest, Andy, all of these are specialized. All of these are like very, very niche units that do very particular things. So this is a very specialized force. It's not like
weird for a star collecting thing. I don't think. I mean, I know they're not quote unquote star collecting anymore, but it's effectively what they are. It's what the people in the stores are going to be pushing. I would imagine for new people coming in, and I don't think this specifically is going to be a good representation of here's a good thing to start off with, which is weird.
It is a slightly strange one. That
the battle force is technically better for a star collecting army, but it's not something that. Because of the price point, it's not something you'd recommend someone to start collecting.
No. And I still want to completely redo the aberrants. I've got a different idea for the aberrants. And
you just use orcs.
Interesting.
No, Ogren.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
Ogren, Gene Stealer head, using extra limbs and things. And just get these like really weird, massive, bulky guys rather than the...
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You could get some Cryptors in there as well if you want some of them to be a bit more.
Cryptors would probably work better.
Yeah.
Now you haven't mentioned it. Yeah, Cryptors would work really well.
Mixing and matching Crypt Horrors, Ogrins, and like Gene Stealer bits would be really good. That would work really well for the Aberrant.
And they've got quite good like wrist sizes on them, so you'll be able to just nip off the hands fairly easily. It's what I've done with like mine and swap them around with ogre weapons. It's like, it's easy enough. Yeah. I can do it. You can easily do it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, what do you mean?
Well, because I've got a sickness when it comes to plastic glue and green stuff.
Tell me about it.
Called an addiction.
Tell me about it.
Called a problem.
Should we move over to the Flying Cannoness?
Sure.
So, yes, we have
There's a battle unit, yeah?
Yeah.
Seraphons, right?
Basically,
not Seraphim. Is it? No.
Seraphons,
Seraphim.
Seraphims, yeah.
Yeah. Seraphim, yeah.
Not Seraphon. No, Seraphon's the lizard men.
Definitely not Seraphon.
Yep.
That would be weird.
That'd be cool.
That would be amazing. The new Sisters of Battle are all lizards.
Ladies. That would be really interesting.
You love the Emperor too much, you turn into a fucking lizard person.
We're going all like Nibiru conspiracy theory with this.
That would kind of be an interesting switch to do on the religion of the Emperor, right? It's like it's run by lizard people.
It's run by lizard people.
That'd be really fun.
Oh, that means you could have His Holy Honor, Dave. That would make me so happy.
These
you
are
all
nice.
know to which I mean.
These are lovely, aren't they?
I think they're okay, but I don't think they're like. I think my issue with them is they're just stepping off of small bits of church.
Off of church.
Yeah, I think we've seen more interesting flying units in the past.
Yeah.
These, especially with the poses they're in, that none of them are in poses where you're like, wow, they look really dynamic and like different from the previous ones. It's just like, they're floating there. They're fine. They're nicely sculpted, but they're all kind of boring, I think, from a especially by today's standards is what I mean. I don't think they're anything exceptional where you look at them not like the standard sisters where you look at them all and you're like, they're all really nicely posed. All of them have nice looks to them, different poses. These ones are all they're just floating there with the guns in the hands.
Well, they look really static.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. They look weirdly static for something that's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though there is movement in the sculpt, for whatever reason, it's not giving the feeling of something flying through the air.
No.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because like Games Workshop have been really good with flying units recently,
and with
especially
the
in
sisters.
AOS.
They've always done a great
with
job with the sisters as well. These feel super lackluster.
Yeah.
Well, they feel like 10-year-old.
Yeah.
You know. That's interesting.
And for
the more recent stuff has been amazing. Morgan, what's her name? What's her name? Morven Vale, is it? The
Yes.
Yeah,
she's coming up later. Yeah.
So amazing, so amazing.
And the face sculpts as well for the Canoness, just no expression practically. It's like a Hasbro toy.
Yeah.
Just
like a McFarlane figure.
Yeah, she should be screaming with the rage of the Emperor behind her. Zealotry, because she's a Canoness.
That's what they're all about, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
They're just like, she's more stoic. Both of the face sculpts are just like, another day in it.
They're all about passion and faith, aren't they, these guys? So
I do think the one with the respirator is better.
Yeah.
That is a better head. But then you look at how small that head is and think, how the fuck did you paint that, you sons of bitches?
We've all agreed by this point that the people who work for the painting team have sold their souls a long time ago. It's the only explanation for it.
Yeah, there's a Faust thing going on there, definitely.
100%. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, these don't do much for me. I think these are disappointing. Especially when you compare these to the weird gene stealers we just talked about.
Oh,
it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, because these come across as being so bland compared to hitting the anvil as hard as you can with Games Workshop stuff over the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's really surprising. And it stands out because of how...
the codex is coming up. We need to get a new miniature out. At least one new miniature.
If I was a betting man, I would say that this was something that they sculpted a while back and just went, we'll see if we can get it out somewhere. And then they realized I had it and thought, that'll do for the Sisters Battle.
Yeah, because we don't need to, they don't really need anything new per se, because it's a full army list, isn't it? They've actually got miniatures for everything. So,
yeah, it's
the
a strange one.
Seems okay. It's like 3 units of them and a tank. It's like a bit boring, but it's like, all right. If you want a lot of these units, it's a good way to get these plus an extra tank. So,
yeah. Again, it's pretty hard-hitting force as well,
Yeah, it just feels, again, for a battle force, a little bit boring. When I think of a battle force, I think of like the Imperial Guard one, where you got 2 of the big Dawn tanks and then like 3 20-man. Or you got 3 sets of 10 Imperial Guard and 2 of the cannon things, which was a lot.
There's a bit of imbalance here, isn't it? You think about the Chaos Space Marine release and the 2 battle forces.
That's a great example. There's a load like that battle force. Both of the ones that you've got are after. They're so good.
They're absolutely stunning. I mean, they are complete armies. They're absolute armies that are exciting and fun and work.
And it's got a unique unit in it, doesn't it? Right?
Yes, in each one.
It does,
in each one. Both of them have a unique model in them or a unique unit. Yeah.
These don't. I don't think these do. It's just like
I don't think they do. Interesting.
Unless the Canoness is unique, but it's like you can barely tell which one's the Canoness looking at the set. Unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. Looking forward to getting the book. I don't think I've ever had any of the Adeptus Sororitas books. So.
Have you not?
No, never
I
had
find that
one.
surprising.
Never had one. Never had the. I read the second ed one, but I didn't own it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to on
so
that
I'm looking
one.
forward to that.
Bloody expensive.
Yeah. Yes. Very hard to get these days.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've got this is on the way with alongside the Gene Stealer cult one, so I'm looking forward to that.
I like the cover of this one a bit more than the Gene Stealer one.
Yeah.
A little bit
It's
more.
got a bit more feeling, of the army.
I think it helps that we've got the two sisters in the foreground. The background's a bit weird with the weird grey TV lines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all right.
I like the sister that's off to the left. She just looks like she's going, I'm going to step on you now, you insect. It's
See,
like-
if you're confused about left or right and you're just like looking at both of them and you're like, I don't know which one he means. They both do.
True.
That is the
But they won't-
sister. That's the Sisters of Battle General look, disdain.
Yeah, that's the way they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to basically walk over you.
For the
in
man
name
or the
of
lady
end.
that likes the dommy mommy, you get into Sisters of Battle.
Big step on me energy.
Yeah, do you like candle play, Sisters of Battle, I guess?
It's the Lady
Speaking
Dimitrescu effect, isn't
Yeah,
it?
pretty much, yeah.
speaking of domination, these awesome Iron Warriors are ready to bash your front doors in.
Hello.
What about my back doors?
In the wake of the Chaos Space Marines. Oof,
Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh my god, is that a Lord of War in the background? What's it
It
called?
is.
Are they the Lord of Wars?
That's what they're called, isn't it?
I think so.
I'm sure that's what they're called.
What, the big corn demon engine?
But behind the fiends, the big mechanical fiends with the big circle on his back that looks like a Stargate.
Oh, yeah, that's a conversion of some description, actually, that is. I think it's
Built
meant
out
to
of a-
be...
Built out of a Forge World Lord of War, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
could
saying.
be. Yeah,
I just
could
couldn't
be.
remember were they called Lords of War or not, because I think I've only seen them in Gladius. I don't think I've seen an actual model for one for like years, because they're not really used that often, are they?
No.
Not these days. But no, it's a
No,
lovely
no.
army. I always had a soft spot for the Iron Warriors, ever since
I like the
reading
Iron
Story of
Warriors.
Iron, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's, I really just wanted to get into these because there's so much going on here, which is just so well done.
It's my kind of army, this. It's where every single miniature has been converted, so every single thing is like a character. And I love that. That's what I do in 40k. I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's something so striking about the Iron Warriors color scheme, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hazard
yeah.
stripes,
It
man.
just-
They always look good.
It hits hard, doesn't it? It hits hard.
What have they
It's
used for
everything-
the zealots, the acolytes, the human forces?
They are. I'm not sure what the base is, but
There
I
is
know that
all sorts in there.
there's loads going on, isn't there?
Flagellants from
from
the Empire
old
armies.
Empire army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green stuff over the original Gene Stealer cultists.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on to get these armies. My favorite one is the guy who's using the Nurgle helmet, and then it's got the Demonet of Slanesh arm. It's just above the flagellants. It takes you a little while to work out where all these parts have come from, but good
Yes.
God.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here. It's brilliant. I mean, it's a lovely army. It's the kind of thing that when I see it, that makes me want to get on with my own armies.
Yes.
It makes me really want to get the paint and the clippers and the green stuff out and just go nuts,
I love the fact that Abaddon's in there as well as
As an Iron Warrior.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Terminator Lord Ignis Ungala. That's a real good name. Yeah.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Oh, it's Lord of Skulls, isn't it? Not Lord of War.
The Lord of Skulls,
one.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Lord of
yeah.
Skulls.
Just
Yeah,
connected to me there.
yeah. This one, I think the one he's got is quite heavily converted, actually.
Yes.
It's no good
Corn
shot
Lord
of
of
it,
Skulls. Yeah.
No, I was just looking
He's
through to
made
see if
it more sort of like mechanical and less like ornate demon engine,
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense for the Iron Warriors, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's just so good.
It's a
Right.
lovely army, that is.
Bastard.
Staying in chaos, the
Yay!
Emperor's children unleash a catastrophic cacophony. Fucking
Cacophony.
Well, they kind of don't. Not in this index. They kind of don't.
No.
I mean, it's fine because all it does, it just uses the base Chaos Space Marine Codex, and the base Chaos Space Marine Codex is great. It just adds in Noise Marines. It's fine, and there's going to be some great armies on the basis of this. It's just it's clearly like a get you by thing.
Yeah,
It's just use this until the Codex comes out. And that's what this is. They did exactly this with the World Eaters before the World Eaters came out towards the end of 9th. So this is at long last, guys, at long last, confirmation. The Emperor's Children are definitely in production, and
I'm
will
gonna
be coming at some point.
I'm going to place a bet. Emperor's Children at the end of 10th.
End of 10th, beginning of 11th.
I can't think of how long we've been saying it's going to be the end of 10th. We've been saying it for ages ourselves.
No, funny thing, I've been scouting around about this, and there are still the rumor mongers who say there was supposed to be an Emperor's Children release like ages ago.
Yes.
And for some reason, it just didn't happen. For whatever reason, it just never happened. So there's been an army waiting to be released for a long time, apparently. But it just never transpired.
Do you know why I think this is going to be at the end of 10th?
Why is that?
Because at the end of every edition, a new Primarch appears.
Yeah, it's true. It was Angron last time, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, the last one was the Lion. So that this time round, it would be a Chaos.
Of course. Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense.
Which would make sense why they kind of rushed out the Horus Heresy-ish one without much fanfare, I would say. So it's just like, get that one out, and then we can get out the 40k one, maybe.
I think that's it, yeah.
That might be hopeful. That might be being too hopeful about it, but... You know, it would be a good way to end it, to end off an edition and season to 11 to be like, he is a new Fulgrim that you're going to be happier with that isn't resin.
Yeah.
Well, it makes enormous sense. I mean, they've basically confirmed it, and they've been quite coy but suggestive about it on the Facebook Warhammer 40,000 Facebook profile. Whenever anyone's brought it up, they've been like, maybe, sort of like, yeah, it's happening. Basically, it's happening, So yeah, very pleased. Can't wait to see what they do with them. Given what they did with the World Eaters and the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, very, very interested.
And they're gonna have nice new models at least, and I mean that won't be too hard with how old these models are. To be fair,
no, these are third ed models.
I was gonna guess these were third ed, to be honest, just because of how they look.
This is a really weird set. Basically, this was called the Emperor's Children set, and all it is the base, what was then the baseline Chaos Space Marine box set with metal Noise Marine bits. And you can only make 2 Noise Marines out of it. There has never been a dedicated Noise Marine box set ever.
No.
In the history of 40k, ever.
It's going to be interesting to see them work out an entire army for the Emperor's Children, because this means all new Terminators for them, all new just standard tactical Marines, all new vehicles for them.
Maybe some new demon engines as well. Who knows?
Yeah, they have to do like a Lucius that doesn't look shit as well, which would be nice.
Yes, there will be a new Lucius, and my guess is the other character will be Eidolon.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. He's the other big Emperor's Children character, so
who's the one that is recently there was a book about?
Eidolon.
Was it Eidolon? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not released yet, but it's released in October. But yes, and of course the fact that they're doing that kind of suggests that it's Eidolon, doesn't it?
Would you make a current day 40k Eidolon just like look like a Morton Joe?
Yes, why not? Do not become addicted to pleasure. Oh, sorry, too late.
Yeah, a bit late for that. 10,000 years too late.
Whoopsie, my bad.
Yep, darn.
This is the voice I'm going to use for Eidolon from now on. I'm just going to spend my days going tooty-tooty-too. Do not become addicted to the pair. Oops, too late.
Well, funny thing, he's got like a weird voice anyway, because he's got like that mutation that makes him like a Noise Marine.
That was the idea.
So his voice can kill you, basically.
Oh man, all right. So from now on, Eidolon sounds like Bjork.
You don't like Bjork.
Oh, I love Bjork. I think Bjork's great, but just Bjork's voice in the middle of the 40k battlefield, that's really going to mess with
that
your
would be
head.
interesting. That would be very interesting. But no, they are one of my favorite Chaos Space Marine Legions, so it's really exciting to see what they do with them, and what new units they come up with for them. What is going to distinguish them, and how do they work? How do they distinguish them in comparison to like the Death Guard, the Thousand Sons, and the World Eaters? That's going to be very, very interesting.
Quick and lightly armored, but then aren't they Drakari then? If you do it too much, like
that's
that?
the thing. How do they make them distinct? On the battlefield. That's what's going to be really fascinating about them. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. Always love, and I've been waiting for this for ages. The dedicated 40k Slanesh release. That's equivalent to the Hedonites. I mean, the Hedonites in AOS are one of my favorite ranges ever. I think they've just knocked it out of the park with them. So if they bring that same energy to the Emperor's Children, then wonderful.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And of course, that means we'll be getting the plastic Fulgrim as well.
Yep.
Which would be nice.
They're going to go back to metal just for Fulgrim.
Just for, yeah. I wonder what they're going to do to distinguish him from the HH version. What will they do to make
bigger, more tails?
Yeah, he'll be bigger. He'll definitely be bigger because the scale is just slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like marginally. Yeah. Not that you'd massively notice, but it is just marginally. 40k stuff is a little bit bigger.
Horus Heresy stuff is closer to being true scale, for want of a better term, whilst 40k has more heroic proportions.
Yeah, definitely.
So, which is, I know it's a really weird thing to say, but it's weirdly true. So he would be thicker for a start. Spell that however you wish.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Fulgrim, man. Of course he is.
So should we move on to the final 40k story? Now, this is here for a weird reason. So they've done a great big thing about the Tau.
Is it the collecting Tau thing?
Yeah, the Tau primer. Yeah. And this is here because the Tau right now stand in a very interesting place where they've been fiddled around with a little bit.
A lot, actually.
Yeah.
they dominated Ninth so much they nerfed them massively at the beginning.
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Because they were not fun to face in Ninth Ed.
No.
It was ridiculous. Nobody wanted to fight them in Ninth Ed because it was absurd.
The fact that the Tau are going to be able to take like human allies is mental to me. The Kroot are now their own complete army as well as being
there's a whole detachment in here. There's a whole detachment in here for the Kroots, and you can make an army out of them. There we are, the Kroot hunting pack. It's actually pretty cool, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I really like the Kroot hunting pack. It's superb,
Yeah, I'm enjoying this codex. I've got to say, I've never had one of the Tau codices before because they're not really my thing, But it's been fun to read. They're North Korea. They're 40k North Korea. It's really interesting.
And all the stuff that the Tau have had over the years is slowly but surely been degraded in the 40k manner, and as a result, they've become a really interesting faction now.
Very much so. I mean, it's that whole thing where they really, when they first came out, they actually were the only positive force in 40k, right? This youthful empire that was all about the greater good and collectivism and whatnot. And now we find out that actually they're a thanatocracy. So like Aunvar, they're equivalent of the great emperor effectively. He's dead and has been dead for centuries. But what they do is the ethereals who rule the other Tau, they put it about that Aunvar isn't dead and cannot die, is an immortal god emperor, and they project sort of like AI illusions of him throughout the Tau Empire to reinforce the notion that he's not dead. It's Kim Jong Un. It's North Korea. It's quite brilliant, actually.
It's funny how like
it's a
people are, when now you're saying that, and just like people back in the past were like, you should just team up. The humans should just team up with the Tau, and everything would be okay. And it's like,
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I mean, I imagine. There are human civilizations that are under Tau rule, and that's really interesting. And they are better civilizations and societies than the ones that are under the Imperium. That's for damn sure. Humanity is happier under the Tau. It's better fed and it's better kept, and they don't lobotomize them and turn them into servitors. So that's nice.
I wonder if that's only possible because there's less humans there, so it's not as likely to cause chaos issues because of the concentration of humans.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing.
Do you know what the humans did?
They've done it because.
So what I'm hearing already is what the Imperium does is necessary, because if you don't let the Imperium do what's necessary, they make a new god of chaos. Is that what you're telling me? Because we didn't dicterize and force the humans to do what they're told. They made a new god of chaos.
Yeah, the
Imperium did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
It's not a god of chaos. That's the weird thing. It's a warp entity for sure, but it's more like a god of order. It's a god of truth.
Yeah, she's a god of truth, a goddess of truth. Yeah. So what happened was the Tau, who have like no ripple in the warp whatsoever, once they're
like nulls, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. But they don't have that effect on people, though, do they? They don't disgust people. Yeah.
No,
because they're not even like. It's not like in people. It's an absence. If you don't have a warp, then it's like being mutilated in some peculiar way. But with these guys, it's not, because they never had that. They've never been connected.
They were never created, were they? Because are the Tau natural? Because we're not humans are not natural. Because we were made by the old ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
So effectively,
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a byproduct of an old one's experiment, we accidentally happened.
That's right.
That's basically it.
But the Tau were actually a natural being.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea in itself.
And the reason they're so advanced is because they have really short generations. They don't live for very long.
How long do they live for, do we know?
We don't. It's never really specified, but it's not as long as a human being. They have really short lives.
It's guessed between 30 to 40 years.
Yeah.
Seems to be what people...
Okay. So the ethereal, is that just like general for all of them? Like, because the ethereals are older, right? Or ethereals?
The ethereals are older, and the ethereals are where the sinister part of the Tau comes in.
Yeah, right. Are the ethereals actually Tau?
Yeah.
I always assumed they were separate species just because of like their positioning and their psychic power and whatnot.
That's suggested, definitely, in the history. Because when the ethereals appear in Tau civilization, the Tau are confined to their birth world, and they're all at war with one another.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're pretty much at like industrial age, aren't they? They don't get any further than that.
Pretty much. And the ethereals come out of nowhere, literally nowhere, and just say, "Stop fighting. We embrace the greater good." Blah 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 blah. And so you get the unified Tau civilization, and from then on, it's a very short hop to space travel.
Yeah,
empire.
200 years afterwards.
That's crazy.
300 years. Yeah,
literally. You see it in this book. You see it from the perspective of an imperial explorator fleet, basically. That are watching. They're observing the Tau world, and then there's a warp storm that kind of cuts them off from it, and it dissipates within like 500 years, and they go from being like industrial age, kind of like Victoriana here, to being what they are now within that 200 years.
Culturally, that'd be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's really quite phenomenal, because the Imperial Explorator fleet is going to be, they're not going to be that, even if they've survived, they're not going to be that far advanced. We just bomb them out of existence, And then when the warp storm clears, there's like a whole galactic empire in that sector of space, and it's like, oh shit.
The idea behind that almost reminds me of the last enemies in Stargate, the Ori, where the human citizens were very like medieval, but then they just had like spaceships and laser beams because of these entities that were leading them in a religious order.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's very similar. It's very similar.
The Tau have become a really interesting army now. Really interesting.
Just that small tweak makes them, a lot more. There's a lot more to them than just, we're good in it. Ooh.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of like really interesting, like the caste system as well, where it's not just cultural. It's basically genetic. So the different castes are actually. They're Tau that operated in different areas of their homeworld and evolved slightly differently. So they're physically different. The air caste are physically different from the water caste, and so that they are physically and genetically more appropriate to different roles. But they still rebel against that. There are still those that rebel against that and become outcast from the society, and they are hated. Oh my God, the Tau hates nonconformity. That's one thing they absolutely despise. They're not like the Eldari. You know, the Craftworld Eldari, they have an entire cultural path for those who embrace the path of the exile. It's the path of the ranger. These guys, no. They hate nonconformity.
If you don't conform, you are removed and stripped of everything.
Yeah. And quietly got rid of. Basically.
A little bit kinder than the Imperium, but that's something they share in common, I suppose.
It's something they share very much in common. Yeah, very much in common. It's just not as like religious with the Tau. It's more a matter of efficiency. You know.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's basically it. But there is an undercurrent of something sinister in this book, which I really, really like. And it's all suggested as well. It's all suggested. You never get any brazen evidence of how corrupt the ethereals actually are or what their agendas actually are. But it's there.
They want to do something, we just don't know what yet.
Yeah. Quite what their ultimate agenda is. No. Don't know.
No. As I say, one of my favorite things about the current Tau is that they let humans in and accidentally created this horrendous god of truth that turns up and just literally haunts the Tau race now. And they have no frame of reference for it. They don't know what to do with it.
They don't know what it is because they don't have that. They don't. Their culture it's Shintoist basically. It's ancestor worship. You know. There's no supernatural element to it at all. There's no supernatural element to it whatsoever. So they do not have a frame of reference for what it is. They don't even know what the warp is. When they encounter warp entities, when they encounter demons, to them, they're just another species.
Yeah.
They're just another species in the universe. It doesn't make sense that they are these metaphysical manifestations.
Do you think this god is going to be like the first stepping stone on the way to like Tau Civil War, where some start believing?
Could be.
But I mean, when this goddess turns up in front of Shadowsun just emptied her entire arms at her. Just like, no, what are you? Get away. And it's all because the humans joined, and I love that. I love it so much.
It's very cool. It is very cool. And it's because Magnus was right, not the Imperium. Magnus was right.
Yes.
They needed to harness humanity's capacities, you know?
You can see why they said no, though, because without like incredible locks on people, just people are able to create a god. That's really dangerous. Clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You needed the education, but it's the fear. It's like, do you let people run free with it and maybe someone makes the thing, or do you just go, nope, doesn't exist? And there's that prevention thing. So it's like I can see both sides.
It doesn't work, does it? Because
it could have done.
The unit, it didn't though. It didn't.
No, it didn't, but it could have. That's the thing. It's like woulda, shoulda, coulda.
I don't think it could have worked at all.
I think it was a stopgap.
If I had enough people underneath me with enough belief, we could have created a sentient celestial hot dog, and it would have ruled the universe.
And it would have arrived, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way the 40K universe works. But it does seem like there's loads of new gods cropping up now. So you've got the Tau god, you've got Vashtor, obviously. You've got the new god that's coalescing around the Emperor.
Is that because of the Maledictum being as big as it is?
No, it's because of the worship. It's because of it's because of the Imperium. It's because of what it's done.
I just assumed it would have to be because of the Maledictum, because humans have been worshipping the Emperor like crazy for a millennia.
Well, that's how long it's taken. That's how long it's taken for this thing to coalesce.
But it hasn't taken that long for this Tau god to come around, has it?
No, it hasn't.
No. And there's far fewer humans.
Yeah.
I think that's more to do with the fact that there's so much potential there, whilst with the Emperor, it's taken a very, very slow build.
What do you mean by potential there? Do you mean in the Tau area of space? Like So this is the idea, like this extra warp energy.
Yeah,
like
so the
warp potential, I suppose.
Yeah, warp potential for a goddess of truth, which doesn't exist. So it kind of like fell together very, very easily. Because obviously, whilst they tell themselves that no, there will be some kind of like coalition of thoughts and concepts that are not quite sentient that float around them in the warp. I mean, they tell themselves don't actually travel through the warp, do they? They don't have warp technology.
They don't have warp travel, no.
Is that tech similar to the Necron stuff, or is it a bit different from Necron? Because Necrons don't use the warp either, if I remember.
No, they don't. But the Necrons use a form of they use a form of teleportation technology, don't they?
But even then, they're really slow in comparison, but they don't care. So whatever.
I don't know what the Tau do, actually. They do have their own...
It's light speed.
Obviously. It is, isn't it? They go faster than light, effectively.
Yeah.
Oh, Necrons use warp gates of some kind, don't they? They're not like gates, but they're different-ish.
It's not through the warp.
No.
That's the weird thing.
It's not Eldari webway stuff, but it's different from that, but I guess similar to it in a way.
Yeah, it folds space effectively. Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called in Battlefleet Gothic's campaign for them, but I remember they have gates, but they had a specific name which I can't remember offhand.
It is different. Yeah. It is different, both the Eldari and the Imperium. Because the
Eldari
Eldari
as well.
Imperium and the Tau, when they use teleportation technology, it's broadly similar. They do use the warp, like when the warp spiders teleport, they use the warp to do it.
That makes sense.
These alien races don't, which is really interesting.
And it's a really interesting thing that the Tau have moved into a position where I'm really interested in where they're going.
They are actually, they're fun to read about. I'm actually really enjoying reading this book.
Is Paul happy with the changes? Do we know, Mr. Logan Blaze, the sugar bear?
I don't know.
He's our resident tower.
Taoist.
That's a better word. Taoist. Yeah.
Different thing in different context, obviously.
Yeah, that word does not mean what you think it means. Should we move on to some AOS then?
Sure, yeah.
Get the big things.
We got the news. Right. Yeah.
Let's get into some Talia Vedra, because she has a book coming, and of course, as we all know, she is getting insane. Have you guys been following the Dawnbringer Crusade storyline?
I haven't, unfortunately. No, I really must get those books, but no, I haven't.
I would say that none of them hit the heady heights of the Be'lakor book from...
the Broken Realms.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. That was huge.
Yeah, that was a massive book.
Still is a big deal, right?
All of them are good. They're all really solid. They just don't hit that same kind of height.
Fair enough.
They aim for a much more ground view of what's happening. Okay. One of my favorite things is that there's a map, right? Oh. It's a map, but it's also the real place at the same time. And it's in Hammerhal Ashqua. And what they do is anywhere where there's light, it's where the Dawnbringer Crusade has succeeded. And anywhere where there's dark, it's failed or they haven't got to it yet, right?
Ah, interesting.
There's a sequence where this lady here is in the middle of this thing, just watching it, and just watching as this rolling darkness just starts taking everything out, and it just surrounds Hammerhal Ashqua. And it's Oh, it's so
really
good.
worked, has it? The Dawnbringer. I mean, one of the things that happened in the latest version, the current version of AOS, all of the Chaos books that were released talked about how the Dawnbringer Crusades had actually helped to fuel the Chaos powers in very particular ways, rather than actually diminishing their worship. So yeah. Sorry, Sigmar hasn't really done much good this time around, unfortunately.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, we're going to go out into the woods. All right, then. What was going to be out there? Shit orcs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who
We'll have to
knew?
deal with some shit orcs for a bit. Oh, well, that's 4 years of shit orcs. Okay, what's happening now? Well, the Skaven have completely rewritten reality, and they're now smashing their cities through reality.
Like, literally through the substance of reality, yeah.
To be fair, still less fucked up than stuff Teclis has done, so... You know.
Yeah, although Teclis does it by accident. That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing with Teclis. Although, you know, fair dues to Teclis, he did have some victories at the end of the Broken Realms.
Yeah,
You know?
he beat Nagash, he's
Beating Nagash,
killed him.
I mean, it's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, that's good going.
Yeah, but the Skaven have beaten him twice, so, you know, it's, you can't say too much.
It's fair. Yeah, absolutely.
Nagash, super powerful, beaten by rats. Oh, once? No.
Beaten by the rats. I love the fact
Lots
that,
of
like,
times.
he forgot. It's been so long since the last time they did it that he'd forgot that they beat him in exactly the same way. That's what gets me.
Oh, man. It says something about, like, Third Ed's entire storyline, where it's, what are we doing? Well, we're going to go out into the woods. Oh, well, that failed. And on to the next edition.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Such a wet fish edition 3 Third Ed, wasn't it? Unfortunately,
It's annoying. The rules.
The game is great.
Yeah.
The game was probably in the best state that it's ever been in. It was really, really good, and all the books were wonderful. But the story was damper than it's been for a long while.
The entire overriding narrative for the edition was shit. There's no other way for it.
Wasn't it? It wasn't great.
Well, it didn't exist. I think that's the problem. It's not that it was shit. It didn't exist. The Dawnbringer Crusades were going out there to do stuff.
Yeah,
and they might have done, but you never heard anything about it. They didn't do anything about the Crusades until the end of the edition, where it failed.
The very end, where you found out that actually it totally, completely, and utterly failed.
Yeah, narratively, it was a big step down from Second Ed, which had a pretty
massive.
It was such a good starting point for Soul War, and then it ended well as well.
The narrative throughout the entirety of Soul Wars, it kept going. Yeah, it hit the hammer constantly. You know, you had that mid-edition campaign with the malign portents and the all the spells and everything coming out, the endless spells, and then you had the entire thing about the storm vaults. There was the souls being hidden in them that Sigmar stuck them in boxes and went, nope, no one's going to find them. One got broken open, gave you the Bone Reapers. You know, that Second Ed did a lot of stuff. It did a lot of heavy lifting. And Third Ed was just such a step down narrative. Like, it
felt like a filler arc, you know, in shows where you get like a break where nothing really happens. That's what this felt like. Apart from obviously the Kragnos stuff and the Be'lakor stuff. That was the interesting part, and then everything else was.
Well, that was the end of.
That was second edition.
Yeah.
So that didn't even count.
No. Well, if you think about it, you have the Nagash creates the Great Black Pyramid. It fails because of the Skaven. All of the ghosts and the dead rise everywhere and create a ghost pandemic that attacks every single level of every single realm. Then you have the Stormcast
goddess.
Yeah, Morithai returns, eating the heart of Cain. So she becomes a full-fledged goddess. Then you've got the Storm Vaults and all of the search to find all the Storm Vaults so that they don't get broken open. Then the Storm Vaults get broken open. The Stormcast then come back with a vengeance in order to try and stop all the stuff from getting out. Causes the rise of the Bone Reapers. The Bone Reapers then start going around taking everyone's bones so they can build their giant cities and all that type of thing. Then you've got the endless spells start kicking around.
The Necroquake, of course.
Yeah, the Necroquake. And then the stuff that's happened between that and the end, and then you get the everything that happens in Broken Realms.
Yeah, you get Balakor's Broken Skies, where the Stormcast can't get back to resurrect anymore. That's really cool.
Yeah, there's so much happens in that edition, and this version has been Seraphon turned up, some dragons happened.
Yeah, shit goblins.
The giants
turned up.
That was the end of that was the end of second. The Mega Gargants. Yeah,
the Summer King.
The Summer King.
That was one of the bigger things, definitely.
Once this. Once the Dawnbringer books started coming out towards the end of this edition, it really kicked off. That's massively kicked off. Right?
That's where it kicked up.
Because the Dawnbringer Crusade storyline has been insanely good. The Summer King has been lying in like rivers, causing his blood to flow into the water, which is then being bottled by his mad little friends, who are taking his bottles to all these different places, and the Slaneshi Hedonites are getting the bottles, enjoying the mass hallucinations they're getting out of it.
Of course they are.
And then giving the bottles to all the different armies that they meet. So, I mean, there's one of the stories.
I love it.
One of the stories is, the Grand Gourmand.
The Ogre tribes, yeah.
No,
of Slanesh, Glutos Stallion,
yeah. So he has an Ogre Moor tribe that follows him around, who eat everything that he leaves behind,
which would be a lot, presumably.
Yeah, right. So what he does is he just starts plying them with the summer wine, the King's Blood summer wine.
God.
So they then enter the mass hallucinations of being a king, being of a courtly, be very courtly and everything. And they go absolutely hell for leather and just start killing each other. And he's just sitting back killing himself, laughing. He's stopped doing anything else. He now just gives the ogres King's Blood to drink.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's the shit that should have been happening throughout the entirety of this edition.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes
There's so much stuff.
There's so much they could have done. They could have continued the story of Slanesh, the breaking his chains.
God, when was the last time that was touched on? That feels like years ago. That feels like the end of Second Ed.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
I do apologize. There is something that did happen. Cities to Sigmar hit, and they were brilliant.
Cities to Sigmar, that was brilliant.
Narratively, were they interesting? Or was it just because the armies were great, but was it narratively interesting as well? Because I don't know.
I mean, they kind of moved into the poster child position. So,
but from a narrative perspective, I don't think they did too much wrong.
They moved things on.
A weird thing happened where, whilst the Cities of Sigmar themselves didn't get they didn't get much in the way of narrative. Callus and Toll moved into this position where they became the heroes of the setting.
Kind of a Gotrix and Felixy kind of.
They've moved into that position of being, they are the named heroes of the setting. They are the ones that deal with everything. And good, because Callus and Toll are amazing. Because, I mean, a lot of Dawnbringer focuses around them and how they react to things and how they deal with everything, and their reports back to the Hidden Hand on stuff like the Desperation Plague and stuff like that.
Oh, yes, brought by the Harbingers of Nurgle.
Yes. Yeah. Once again, that all happened at the very end of Third Ed.
Very end, yeah. It's all packed together, isn't it? It's very back heavy, isn't it? It's very back heavy. And it's a shame that it's come at the end of the edition.
Yeah. I hope they've learned a lesson for this next edition, because good God, that's been ridiculous.
It looks like it. It looks like it. Thus far, I mean, like the stuff we've seen of the Fourth Ed narrative has been good. The eruption of Skaven, that's wonderful. The cities of Skaven bursting through reality, that's great. So, they need to keep up the impetus, don't they? They really need to keep up that bang, 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 bang of the first two editions of AOS.
So, speaking of the narrative, Hell Crown. So Hell Crown, this is something I really like. It's a city that's built around a realm gate to chaos, and it has been in Sigmarite hands since the beginning of the Dawnbringer Crusade. They managed to take hold of it, and they have it's all in the Dawnbringer books. So this is the first massive battle that's happening since the Skaven exploded onto the mortal realms. And what's cool about it is that for the first month of AOS 4 coming out, if you record your battle, much like you did with 10th Ed 40k, whatever happens here is going to be down in history as what happened. Did the Skaven take it, or do the Dawnbringer Crusaders manage to keep it?
Interesting.
What do you think would be more interesting?
Oh, Skaven take it.
Yeah, because right now where the Skaven are... So this is interesting. What the Dawnbringer Crusade books show you is that the Skaven didn't do this by themselves, right? Archaon himself has basically pushed for this to happen.
Yeah, because he hates the Chaos Gods, right? I mean, he hates all gods, does Archaon, and he's trying to sort of play them off against one another. It's another means of slightly destabilizing the Great Game. So now the Great Horned Rat has ascended. He is actually a full-blown... He is the fifth Chaos power. So the Great Game has changed. And Archaon suddenly has a whole new vector of appeal.
And the rats are okay with following Archaon? Or at least his lead?
Yeah, so what Archaon's done is he's basically talked to the council, not the Council of 13, the Vermin Council anyhow, the 12 Vermin Lords that control everything that the Skaven do. Yeah. So he's gone to them, said, here's this, go and do this, destroy these ley lines, set them on fire, and you'll be able to break through reality and attack everything. What's really cool is that then pushes the Horned Rat to the top of the Pantheon.
Yeah.
So right now, at the dawn of 4th Ed AOS, the Horned Rat is the most powerful Chaos God.
Ah.
How cool is that?
That's very really actually. I like that. It's unbalanced all of the others, which I really like. I really like that. They're not particularly happy about it.
No, they're very, very unhappy about it. But what's interesting is this affects...
Oh, have we lost Gruff?
I don't know. This affects what?
No.
There was a pause before, and I was like, "What was happening?" Yeah. So
I think what he was going to say is this affects like the metaphysics of the realms, very like the Necroquake did. It's upended because like the realms are really interesting. When you affect the metaphysics, you affect the topography. Like they physically change, like they did within the Necroquake. So now
the way that the mortal realms work is it affects everything.
Yeah.
I think that's a Gruff catching up quickly.
Is that him catching up?
That feels like a pre-recorded Gruff kind of being forced through the internet. Yeah. I don't think he would have just literally repeated what you said. No, that would be funny.
So that's basically it. It's changed the very nature of the mortal realm. So it's a very clever like narrative way of making them new as well, right?
Gives them something, I guess, a bit different.
Yeah.
Does the council work different from it did before, do you know? Because Gruff said it wasn't the Council of 13, it's now like slightly different.
There's the Council of 13, which are the mortal Skaven who rule like politics of Skaven society.
Okay.
They are modeled after the 13 Vermin Lords, which rule the metaphysics of the Skaven.
Right.
So Archaon went, rather than going to the Council of 13, because he knows that the Skaven are petty, backstabbing little bastards who won't listen to him anyway. He goes to the Vermin Lords, who have the greater perspective on things, and who are part of Chaos. Let's not forget, they're part of the metaphysics of Chaos. So Archaon already has an in with them, being the Archmaster. and appeals to them rather than to the Council of 13, because there's literally no point. There's literally no point. But the Council of 13 will do anything the Vermin Lords tell them to do, because they are like basically the gods of the Skaven. And that is ultimately what happens. Archaon is manipulating the metaphysics of the mortal realms, including the chaos powers. I mean, he's an interesting dude, is Archaon. He's got some brass tacks on him. That's for sure.
Well, he's got to do something to get the upper hand on Be'lakor, I suppose, who's his main rival, right? Not so much the Chaos Gods, but yeah.
No. Be'lakor is definitely his main rival, because Be'lakor could potentially become the Everchosen. He has the potential to do that, to unseat Archaon effectively. And if the Chaos Gods deem it that Be'lakor's being more interesting or being more, appropriate in that regard, then that's probably what will happen.
Have you returned to his young gruff? I saw his eyebrows move, and then I saw him smile.
Then, yeah.
Kind of. I don't know what happened there. Everything just decided to freeze completely.
Yeah. We saw.
Yeah, not sure. I think it's probably because this room is getting very, very hot.
Yeah.
And that's even with the window open.
Well, no worries. Shall we wind everything down for now?
Yeah. What I think we'll do is there's one last story I want to get into. Just the other story at the very bottom, which is that Talisman returns.
Yeah.
So there's a new Talisman coming, and I fucking hate it.
Why? Why do you hate this?
Why?
Because if you look at the miniatures, much like New Hero Quest, they are so American.
Who's doing these? Is it GW that's doing this, or is it someone else?
Hasbro.
Oh, that would explain it.
GW, is it? That's not GW, you can tell.
No. So it's done by Avalon Hill, and Avalon Hill is owned by Hasbro and the guys behind the New Hero Quest. So yeah, there's probably a lot in the rules here, which will be interesting because it is meant to be a proper redesign of Talisman from top to bottom.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, just trying to change how you play it. I think trying to make it a bit easier, which I'm not interested in, because the joy of Talisman is it's an endurance test.
Yeah,
it is a battle,
that's true.
an absolute battle, and to make it easier to play seems like such a silly thing to do. I don't know. That just might be me.
Yeah, I'm not fond of the miniatures, that's for sure.
They're very like, oh yeah, I know D&D. This is D&D. The most generic kind of stuff.
Yeah, like fantasy, job lot basically.
Yeah,
it's like a Netflix or Amazon attempt at doing a fantasy show, and it's like, well, this is what fantasy looks like. It's like, I guess, if you have no artistic design to you, sure.
I suppose, yeah.
A dwarf, they're giant man, elf, is what they look like, so I guess.
This is what's in a fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your granddad covered. This is fantasy, right? Yeah, granddad, this is fantasy. Go to bed now. Fuck's sake.
I've read David Gemmell. I know what fantasy is.
So the thing that does interest me though is there's a legacy version to the game. So it means that as you're playing, you change the board. Like if you ever played Risk Legacy, which is an amazing version of Risk. Our version of it had a nuked Russia. So you couldn't go into Russia because it was nuclearly dangerous. Clicking away, which is an interesting idea for Talisman, but I don't know.
Is it just the art style, or is it the change to the rules that you don't like?
It's just the art style. I'm fickle.
No, that's fair. I mean, if you buy another edition of Talisman and it's redone the art, I don't blame you for that.
Well, I've got my 3rd edition Talisman, so that's to me that's the best Talisman I ever got. I love that version of Talisman. But this, I mean, it doesn't look bad. I'm not going to sit here and say it looks shit, because that's silly. In my personal opinion,
I hate those art cards.
Yeah, I do as well.
I do not like. This is slightly off topic. I don't like the way the artwork now looks for D&D. I've seen like stuff like new images of the orcs and stuff, and then I think back to the book of like the art that has the compendium of all the art that D&D's done over the years. I'm like, this is more modern. I don't like it. The older stuff, the weird like pop cult, the poppy kind of Conan the Barbarian kind of style was really good. I love that. Then moved into a different art style. Love those as well. This I don't know, this digital art, I guess,
it just seems
kinda
so bland.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about
boring, it. It does look boring, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's soulless.
It's like Fantasy X, you know. It could be anything.
There's something about the monk card I really don't like. I don't like how like he's so happy and smiley. Like I don't think monks are happy, smiley people generally. I think
Really not.
I think they're really like a monk to me would be very stoic, unless he's a drunk like Friar Tuck, right? You know, unless he's off his face on booze, he should be a pretty stoic, maybe calm, reserved kind of individual.
Or like Brother Mace from Nightmare.
Yeah.
Sobriety.
I don't know.
A tavern monk.
See, I thought the original reason you weren't happy about Talisman was I mentioned before we started. To me, Talisman has become the monopoly of like slightly more advanced fantasy game. There's thousands of additions to it. Thousands.
Yeah.
Horus Heresy 1.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't even including like just Warhammer iterations. There's at least 3 Warhammer versions of this game.
True. Yeah, very true.
Or 40k Warhammer, I should say.
Yeah.
You know,
I've never played the Horus Heresy version of Talisman.
Somehow, I have a feeling you wouldn't be able to tell the difference apart from the art style.
No, probably not.
Purely aesthetic, right? Purely aesthetic.
Pretty much. Much like
Well,
Monopoly.
that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing, though. Talisman lives and dies by its aesthetic because it is such a. Yeah, it's a simple enough game to play.
Where's the big pile of gold in the middle with the dragon? Where is it?
Yeah,
it's just red.
Yeah,
it's just red.
Yeah.
Blair is the perfect way to describe it.
It's not inspiring, is it?
No.
It doesn't really like grab me, you know.
I think what annoys me the most as well is that I've got Talisman Digital for the last edition for 4th Ed, and I love it. Yeah, I honestly love playing digital Talisman. It's so much fun. And now they just announced that, well, we're going to be stopping that now. We're going to be doing the 5th edition. I've just bought all the expansions.
Well, aren't you an idiot? Gotta burn those. What's the Fate Beacons thing that they've got underneath the main game? What's this expansion, dude? You know?
Oh, Fate Beckons.
That's the one.
So that is a cooperative expansion.
All right.
So instead of trying to claim the crown of command for yourself, you'll join forces to bury talismans in the places of power, unseal the portal of power, and defeat the adversary of each trial. Overcome all 5 to complete the game and win together. This is a legacy format. You'll play 5 linked games. As you complete each trial, you'll open envelopes and boxes to discover mystery cards and new figures to add to your next game.
I mean, it sounds like it might be fun. You know,
I mean, that's a cool idea. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But you open up the miniature and it's
another one of those.
It's a generic ghoul.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's another one of those.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just one of those things. I wanted to talk about it because I love Talisman. I love Talisman to bits. I will play Talisman every day, every night, and anybody who wants to play Talisman.
You play one game, then it doesn't end because you don't get the rolls you need.
No, absolutely.
You go into that bloody cave, you roll a 6 in a sense, right back to the start of the bloody cave, and you have to go through again, find everything.
Perfection.
I could like from a normal person's perspective, I can understand why maybe changing the rules might not be a terrible idea because it is a fight of endurance sometimes, not by anyone's fault, sometimes by somebody's fault, because sometimes people just want to fuck with you, but sometimes the game doesn't want you to play. It wants you to just go on a loop and a loop and a loop, and no matter how high of a level you are, sometimes the game goes, nope, fuck you, you gotta do all this again.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately the way Talisman works, for better or for worse. So I get why the idea of like changing the rules might not be a bad idea, and they might be really good new rules. I don't know.
Possibly.
Could well be. But when you've got such generic minis, I really can't be bothered.
Yeah, I
When you've got
think if
such
you
a
get the
generic
game,
art.
if you get the game, maybe just use some Warhammer
Use some
Fantasy
AOS,
AOS
or something. Yeah, absolutely. Proxy, definitely.
I've got the Talisman RPG.
Which one's
It's
that?
really good. It's an actual RPG book using the Talisman rules.
Yes.
So you can turn it into an RPG.
that'd be
It's
neat.
really good fun.
Do you use the board as well in conjunction with the RPG? Oh, that's
But you
really
can
fun.
do. You don't have to, but you can do.
No,
Yeah.
you don't. It's a prerequisite. Don't lie. That's neat.
It's good fun. Yeah. All in all, I'm just annoyed at like the continuing Hasbroization of the hobby.
Yeah.
Because Hasbro's got a Hasbro.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's always a bad thing.
They've touched D&D and they've touched Talisman, so
Yeah,
Hasbro.
D&D. The minute they touched it, they caused
I forgot. My bad. I forgot they touched Magic the Gathering as well.
Yeah.
Well, they touched Magic the Gathering first.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
But then, because of that, they went, "Ooh, what can we do to D&D?" And then they made D&D 1, which Jesus. And if you're out there hearing the sound of my voice, Dungeons and Dragons is not even close to being the best RPG on the market these days.
No.
Yeah, there are so many. Go play Blades of the Dark. Go play Blades of the Dark. Blades of the Dark's brilliant.
Is that Kickstarter one? Or is that one from a normal company?
No, it's been around a few years now. So it's set in a post-apocalyptic land where, unless you live in the cities, you will be ghost touched to death. And it's very, very steampunk. It looks like Dishonored, right?
Oh, that's cool. I like Dishonored's art style. That's great.
It's a real Dishonored look to it. And you could be doing anything from going out into the wastelands to try and steal ghosts because you need the ghosts to power all of the machines.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Really cool idea. Right the way through to you are a criminal gang who is just doing a load of like heists and stuff. There's a really cool flashback mechanic in it where if you fail a dice, if you roll a fumble or something, you can have integrate a flashback into the story where you went, yes, but in this flashback, I'm going to explain why I did this, and this is why that fumble doesn't mean anything.
Okay, that's fun.
It's a really cool system.
That's a nice fail-safe, actually, because, the amount of times in something like D&D where one roll, fumbled roll results in the end of the game, basically, or the end of your character. Yeah, that's cool.
And then, of course, there's Call of Cthulhu, which is an incredible system. Delta Green, which is... Delta Green's great. And if you want some fantasy RPG, you've got Soulbound for iOS. You've got Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which it's clunky, but it's still pretty good. And you've got Pathfinder,
obviously,
which just shits on D&D.
Technically has always been better than D&D.
Yes.
Like in technical terms, it's always been a better system.
Is it more complex out of interest, or is it just better in itself? Is it is it harder to learn kind of thing?
No, it just works better. It just works better. It's just more comprehensive, but it's also more intuitive.
Yeah.
It's always been the better system. It just doesn't have the legacy, that D&D does.
You're right. Yeah.
That's all. A lot of people use Pathfinder to play D&D.
Yes.
That's sad.
Pathfinder 2nd Ed is like a solid as hell system. It's so good.
What edition is Pathfinder on now? Is it?
It's on 2nd.
Oh, it's 2nd now. Okay.
Yeah, 2nd's been around for a few years now, but it's such a good system.
It's
like really, really good.
Very, very good. Yeah. And it's just not as conducive as D&D because it doesn't have to. It's not as business based as D&D. So it doesn't have to keep releasing this book and this book and this book and this book and that book and,
interesting.
And this rule set, that rule set.
The big problem that D&D's had since maybe 3rd Ed, and maybe slightly after, is that it's a very much a bolt-on system where every rule is bolted on because it comes from another edition.
Yeah, right.
And so D&D gets real bloody confusing at times. Have you ever tried doing the holding your breath to swim mechanics in D&D? Because honestly, I just let my character drown.
Yeah.
I was fed up of it. I was sick of it.
And it's a shame because like a lot of stuff in D&D is great fun. I mean, like the some of the background stuff is fantastic. Anything involving Sigil or the metaphysics is awesome. I love that stuff.
Dark Suns and Ravenloft are two of my all-time favorite.
Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Anything involving the Lady of Pain, I'm in. Totally in.
But yeah, Dragonlance is a terrible setting.
Yeah, I hate Dragonlance. So it's so boring.
Yes, it really is.
It's so boring, generic fantasy. It's so dull.
Yeah, Greyhawk is all right.
Yeah, I don't mind Greyhawk.
Trying to think what else there is fantasy-wise.
Stupid
Forgotten
one where
Realms.
magic is like divided into there's just like good, grey, and bad, and that's it. It's so fucking stupid. And like the bad wizards wear black robes, and it's like, why?
Because they're evil. And black's evil.
Surely, if you're the bad wizard, the first thing you do is wear the white robes and make people think I'm a good wizard, right? You're not going to go around like, I wear the black robes, I'm a bad wizard. You know, it's so stupid.
That's what the Sith do.
Stupid.
So
and it's, you know what? Sorry guys, it's stupid in Star Wars as well.
It is.
One of my old games masters from years and years ago, he had a rule that if any dark wizard, no matter what they wore, it would slowly turn to black. That they couldn't wear anything other than black.
Well, at least if it's metaphysical, you've got an excuse, right?
Yes.
So it's not corrupting. Okay, fine. That I will totally buy. But when it's like they make the decision, it's like I'm going to dress like a Dark Lord, so everyone knows I'm a Dark Lord. It's like, well, why? Surely you don't want people to know that, so you get a lot more evil done.
How did they figure out I was evil? I don't know, man. The skulls on your armor.
Yeah.
Severed arms.
Yeah, it's the fact that I live in a castle on top of a volcano that's shaped like a demon's skull.
There's lightning all around it all the time, screaming.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the hood, it's the red eyes, it's the snake staff, right? It's like, I can see
I just don't want to be judged by how I look. Yeah, but come on, man. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. You have an army of undead. It's like, come on, you know?
I just don't want to pay him. Yeah, that's why you're evil.
That's why you're evil.
Exactly,
you know?
I think one of the things that always drove me insane about D&D's entire backstory is how half-orcs came to be. And you just got this entire thing of like, well, you're not really an orc, and you're not really a human. So there should be a lot of story potential there to what we're going to do. What do they do?
Loads.
Well, we usually just go live with the orcs, and they bully us.
Oh,
yeah. Of course, that has changed now. They are much more like characters now, which makes a lot more sense.
D&D, man. It drives me insane.
I don't want to rag on it too. It's stuff that I love. It's stuff I absolutely love, you know. But yeah, there are issues sometimes. I mean, like trying to play. I mean, I love Sigil as a setting, but trying to play a game in it is very hard. Because it changes all the time, right? The rules literally change while you're playing.
Oh my god, that sounds like a right faff.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of if you can get it down, if you can get it to work, it's a load of fun.
No, I bet,
if you've got a good DM, if you've got a good DM, because the Sigil is the setting you want to go to if you really want to just let fly. There are no restrictions. The DM can do pretty much anything they like, and that can be so much fun with a good, imaginative, and competent DM.
Yeah.
Otherwise, not so much.
Or you could play Blades in the Dark and have a great time.
Nah, that sounds silly.
You could play some cock.
Yay! Bow, 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 bow.
I love Call of Cthulhu.
Game.
Call of Cthulhu is such a good RPG system.
Call of Cthulhu is awesome. Yeah, it is awesome.
if either you're going to play Impossible Landscapes or the Masks of Nyarlathotep, you've got yourself such an experience. Not just a good RPG experience, just a great experience.
Yeah, like
because there's stuff in there that messes with your head.
Yeah, horror. It's amazing. I mean, you can do so much with it. If you've got you need an imaginative DM who knows how to play this.
Yeah,
you know, you cannot have like someone who's used to D&D play it like DMing Call of Cthulhu because it just doesn't work. It's like they will think it's all about combat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are fighting in Call of Cthulhu, you've done it wrong.
Yeah.
And also, your whole team is going to die like that.
Yep.
Like that. Because they do. You are squishy in Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
You always get the arsehole who's like, oh, my guy's an ex-military veteran and they kept their saber or their pistol. And it's like, no, they didn't. Fuck off.
Who cares if they did? It doesn't matter. It
doesn't really matter.
Sword. Good for you.
That's the other thing, right? That's the other thing. Even the least powerful entities in Call of Cthulhu, you fire bullets at them and they're like, so what?
The prologue to Masks of Nyarlathotep ends with the clouds parting and this giant bug creature staring down at you from the sky. And I always remember a guy just going, how the fuck do we fight that? To which the response was, we don't.
You don't.
No.
Yeah.
You cannot.
That's the thing. If you end up fighting, because what I love is they even bother to stat all of like the big Lovecraftian gods. And like Cthulhu drives you mad by looking at you and eats 3 of the players every turn. No roll, nothing. That's it. You know? It may as well just say, don't bother.
Yeah.
You played wrong. You lose. You know? If it ends up where you're fighting one of the big entities, you're done. If you end up where one of the big entities is present at all, you're done.
Yep.
It's over.
You've got to make sure that never happens.
Yeah, because that is the end of the game, isn't it? If a cult ends up summoning Cthulhu or whatever, it's over.
I guess the way to explain it to someone who wouldn't quite get it is, how do you fight a nuclear explosion? And I mean, once the bomb goes off, you're fighting the explosion.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you can't.
That is
perfect.
That is a really, really, really good way of describing it. How do you fight like an exploding star?
Yeah.
How do you fight a Big Bang?
I guess you try and run. You don't fight it.
You say a very quick prayer.
Yeah, you hold up an umbrella and go, "Oh no."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as with a sign. Yeah.
I just heard you say that like Bad Ape from the third Planet of the Apes films.
Mm?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! We just recently rewatched the remake trilogy of Planet of the Apes, and Bad Ape is now my favorite thing in all of film ever.
Was that the third one?
Yeah.
I never really got the third one as much. I think it was a step down from the second. I like the second one a lot. Second one's really good.
I like
the third one's okay. It's fine.
It's solid enough.
Yeah.
No, because the second bit is solid, but Bad Ape is just so good. Oh no! It just makes me laugh. He absolutely cracks me up all the time. So let's start drawing this to a close then. Andy,
me.
If people were standing on a box and they wanted to look over a hedge to see you, where could they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube as Decayed Andy. I'm also on the Moonbase 2 podcast each and every week on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and Libsyn and all those places. Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast. I play video games and whatnot.
Awesome. George, if people were going to dig a hole through reality to come and find you, where would they find you?
Or somewhere very, very deep and far away.
Oh no.
You will find me on YouTube under Exaggerated Elegy, where there are podcasts about media and politics and philosophy and all sorts of stuff. There are also video game Let's Plays on there doing Shadows of the Erd Tree at the moment and System Shock, the remake. You can find me and my friend Kit on the Arrow Films Blu-ray and UHD set of Hellraiser. We are on the Hellbound disc on the featurette Hell is What They Wanted. It's an hour and 40-minute chat about Hellraiser and Clive Barker and queer fiction and horror and all sorts of stuff. It's great. If you want to read my published fiction, you can find links to it over at strangeplaygrounds.com. Or if you go onto Amazon and type in George Daniel Lee, you'll find my Amazon author page where you'll find all my short story collections and all of the anthologies and collections I've been published in. I'm currently doing a series of articles that I've inherited from my compatriot, Kit Power, over at Ginger Nuts of Horror. Which is called My Life in Horror. And there's a lot of those coming out very, very soon. And I think that's it for me.
I'm always amazed at how busy you actually are. It's so much stuff.
I mean, the funny thing is there's other stuff going on that I actually can't talk about. I'm dying to, but I can't.
Good things, hopefully?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I've been told at the moment...
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk about it.
At least they're good. At least they're fun things. That's good.
Oh, they're very good. They're
good.
very, very good. It's a case of watch the space, you know? But I can't talk about them at the moment.
Or else somebody will slap you in the hand.
Yeah, I'll get told off.
As for myself, you can find the Fluffenhammer anywhere that you look for the Fluffenhammer. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. We've got a Discord, which you will find in the notes below. And you can find my personal work at adnicol, nicol.weebly.com. And you can find my first ever book, because I've got a book now, Pig Iron, on Amazon. If you just search for Pig Iron,
Show it
AD
again.
Nicol.
Show it again. What does it look like?
Show it.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Go buy it.
That's what it looks like.
Pig Iron on Amazon.
It's got pages.
Mm-hmm.
All funds go towards Gruff having a sandwich for one day.
Yeah.
Well, all funds are going towards getting a new PC.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good move.
So that's my plan. So go buy my book. It's unsettling. The best review of somebody's told me is it just feels like a fever dream, and I don't know why.
That's a good compliment, I'd say.
Yeah,
That's good.
right.
No, I would take that as a massive positive.
Yeah, I would describe that as our friendship over the years. So yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, it's a book that originally I was putting together to be a compilation of all my different bits of art that I've done over the years for different places and different things. Then it became something weird and very personal, and it became something that was the inside of my brain being scooped out and put onto the page, and I don't know how that happened. So whilst it is a book of art that I've done for like Crack-On Games and concepts for games that I've made over the years and all these different types of things, it ended up being very much how my brain takes information and does stuff with it. It's it's a lot of fun, and now I know how to put a book together. So, woohoo!
It is a thing in and of itself, right? It takes, oh my God, right?
So much work.
A lot of, mad respect for publishers. Mad respect. Because it's a pain in the arse.
Yes, it is. It really is. The amount of work I've had to do to course correct and fix things, and
the stuff you've got to learn.
Yes, absolutely. No, everything from trim sizes to bleed.
Yep. Bleed, margins, all of that gubbins. It's a nightmare.
And like an idiot, of course, I didn't go for something easy like just printed page stuff. Oh no, I went for a full color freaking print book. It's like
easy. The easy path? Nah.
I'm smart, me. So, go buy my book. Also, the Fluffenhammer has a Patreon. So there is 7 years worth of stuff up on that Patreon that is absolutely full of all sorts of stuff. Masses of things.
7 years of Fluffenhammer.
Yeah, 7 years of Fluffenhammer.
Nearly a decade.
Yeah.
You getting there?
Yeah.
Number of Nurgle.
Next year, the Fluffenhammer has existed for longer than the old oil house did.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The old oil house lasted for nearly 8 years.
Damn.
Wow.
So this time next year, the Fluffenhammer will have outlived the old oil house.
Wow.
And put out maybe a third of what the old oil house did. Yeah. There was different times back then, different times. Yeah. So with all that being said, then we will get out of here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening, if indeed you still are. And thank you very much to Andy and George.
Oh,
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
First here, then there. Make up your mind already.
Is close. I love the death. Frequently. You have already lost.
We have destroyed that which offended the Emperor. Victory for the righteous!